Starting in Konoha, I got the Rinnegan by signing in. Welcome back, brave explorers of impossible worlds. We are excited to have you here to continue this odyssey together. Before we continue, everything you'll hear is pure fiction, so please don't try to replicate combat techniques at home. This wonderful story and all its rights belong to its brilliant original author. We are only the messengers of entertainment. Want another dose of adventure? Subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a single chapter, and if you can't wait, our Patreon has exclusive surprises you'll love. Chapter 76. Yohiko spoke to Ryu's and indignantly Ryublade was directly irritated, and Nagato's eyes were actually gouged away. Originally, the big boss in the middle of the ninja world in Naruto, killed Jiraiya, killed Feng Ying, robbed the eight-tailed beast, and destroyed Konoha, making it extremely sturdy now. The eyes are dug out during the seedling period. This is too unexpected, but this is not a good thing for Nagato. At least his life can be saved, right? Since taking oil has dug away Nagato's reincarnation eye, naturally it won't do anything to Nagato. And as for the reason for taking this oil to dig out Nagato's reincarnation eye, Liu Ren could also guess 7 or 8. Chapter 62. The rebellion of the Huai clan. Several people chatted a few words, and Yohiko and Zayanin also talked about the purpose of going to Wu Ain this time, which was originally to bring oil after Nagato's eyes were dug out. Yohiko and the others couldn't swallow this breath naturally, and wanted to get justice for Nagato, but on the one hand, they don't know where this oil is, and on the other hand, they are very afraid of the strength of this oil, and they are not sure, so they thought of Kitachio Yakira, who has also played and manipulated with oil. Last time I left Uin village, Liu Ren took the Bofton water gate back to Konoha, and Yohiko and the others escorted the Gouai in Yakira to Wuin, and Xiong Wuin reveals the truth about the control of Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. Wuin's queen used his eyes to check and confirm that Yohiko's words were correct, and then Wuin dispelled the illusion of Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. Kodachi Tachibana Yakira immediately recovered his memory, immediately began to order investigation and arrest Uchiha Madara. In dealing with this oil, Yohiko and the others have the same demands as Wuin. So Yohiko wants to go to Wuin to see if there is any clue to this oil. Of course, if you can reach cooperation with Wuin and deal with this oil together, that would be even better. That's why I have this trip to the mist. After listening to Yohiko and the others, Ryan suddenly felt that he was a little sorry for taking this oil. First, the Nagato side caused this oil to completely lose the opportunity to control the other party, so he had to make the bad strategy of digging out the eyes of Nagato. Then there is the 4th generation water shadow of the original palm plaything. Now it is completely out of the control of this oil. Liubian seemed to be careless, causing a lot of trouble with oil, but this can only be blamed for the bad luck with this oil. Who would have accidentally calculated this oil on Liubian's head? Liu Jian thought about it a lot along the way, and he found that the direction of the ninja world had fluttered its wings a few times with his butterfly, and it had begun to slowly deviate from its original track. Liubian is also a little uncertain about what the future will develop into, but this seems to be more interesting. How is Nagato now? I'll go take a look another day. Liubian chatted and suddenly proposed. Of course, my mind is not just to visit Nagato alone. This is only on the one hand. On the other hand, Liu Ren also wants to go to the Zio organization base to recognize the gate, so that he can sneak in and sign in the future, among other things. Zianin's paper done. Liu Jian is quite optimistic. Really? It would be great if you were willing to come. Yohiko and Zianin suddenly became a little excited when they heard this. Since Nagato lost his eyes, he has been very depressed. He didn't even want to tell us many things. You go and see him, it might make him feel better. Speaking of Nagato's situation, the mood of these two also became depressed. Nagato became a useless person, and their feelings were no better than Nagato, and even more painful than Nagato talking all the way. Before they knew it, a few people arrived at the border of the water country, and the vast sea in front of them began to be filled with a lot of white fog. As long as you pass through the white mist, you will officially arrive at the water country because the fog was hidden last time. Yohiko and the others are familiar with the road this time. After entering the white fog, they did not turn into headless flies, but drove the boat to the pier. Since Yohiko and the others were kind to Wuin last time, they did not encounter any embarrassment. After the ninja at the checkpoint reported the situation, several people were quickly released. There were even special people who took Yohiko and the others through the misty area to Wuin village. Okay, Yohiko and Zianin, I have other things to do. Let's separate here. At the entrance of the misty village, Liubian said goodbye to both Yohiko and Zianin. By the way, you leave Wuin by yourself after you finish the work. Don't wait for me. Naturally, The two of them didn't have any obstacles, and when Liu Ren turned and left, they walked towards Wuyin on their own and Ryubin. The first thing after leaving Yuhiko and the others was to use the transformation technique to become another ninja. He came by Yuhiko's boat. So naturally he couldn't mess up with his original appearance. Wouldn't it be pitting Yuhiko and the others? This kind of deceptive thing can't be done after becoming a Misty Ninja. Liu Bian began to walk leisurely in the Misty Village, just like traveling while admiring the environment of Wuyin Village. He silently paid attention to the general layout of Wuyin Village. After all, he would come to this back garden to sign in the future in some special places. There are always too many in my mind anyway. He is now a Misty Ninja, and he won't attract anyone's attention. Just travel generously with no one else alone. Liu Bian has been around most of the hidden mist village. It's okay for the fog to hide in other places, and the strong exotic atmosphere is that the water vapor is really heavy, and you need to adapt to it. Liu Bian casually commented on the environment of Wuyin Village just after turning a corner. Liu Bian hadn't even walked a few steps before, and a figure rushed towards him. Misty people, all go to death. Kill you all. The person saw Liu Bian, and the pace under his feet also accelerated a bit. Using the instantaneous technique to quickly rush towards Liu Bian, he appeared in front of Liu Bian in the blink of an eye. At the same time, he struck Liu Ren with a fierce punch. Chapter 77. Liu Ren noticed at this time that there were two bone spurs protruding from the man's wrist. Liu Bian didn't even flash, allowing the person's bone spur fist to pass through his body. Nani? The person was taken aback for a moment, and he was stunned by the flow of blades. After that, he didn't get back to his senses, and Liu Ren flipped his hand and fired a shuriken, cut his throat directly, and fell to the ground with a plop. I can't die anymore. This assassination is really inexplicable, Liu Bian murmured secretly, then glanced at the clothes of the corpse on the ground, and then thought of the bone spurs. And suddenly reflected the origin of this person. Take the Bamboo Clan, or the Hui Clan. This is a lunatic race? Liu Ren thought to himself. There are not many impressions about this clan of Liu Bian. It is nothing more than a Kaguya Kunmaro, and the other is that the Kaguya clan rebelled and was annihilated by the mist, leaving only Junmaro. I'm going. Should it be the Hui clan who is rebelling now? Liu Ren thought silently. Immediately, Ryubana's eyes lit up. If this is the case, why not take Junmaro? Junmaro is loyal to Shimuru, and even dedicated his life to Shimuru. He also holds the extremely rare bones, veins, blood, and boundary, and his abilities are also very powerful. It can be said to be a perfect subordinate. Chapter 63. Who knows where Junmaro is? Together with Junmaro's thoughts, Liu Ren couldn't hold back his thoughts. Anyway, given his strength, it was completely easy to do this. The only thing to worry about is that Junmaro has an incurable disease, and even the first-class scientist in Hokage, Shimuru, can't cure it. But this is not a problem for Liu Bian. To put it more accurately, if the Liu Bian plan is finally successful, then it must not be a problem as long as he has achieved the 6th level and possessed the power of yin and yang to escape. Healing Junmaro would not be a problem at all. After making up his mind, Liu Bian stopped talking nonsense, began to use the instantaneous technique, and continued to rush forward. According to the Hui clan who attacked him just now, it was obvious that the battlefield was in front. Sure enough, in a short time, the faint cry of killing in front of him entered Liu Bian's eardrums, and the two groups of figures were also intertwined orthogonally, engaged in a very fierce battle. It is the Misty Ninja and Hui clan. However, the fighting power of the Hui clan is still very powerful. Everyone in the clan is similar to a lunatic, and when they start, they are completely deadly. It is extremely fierce. Coupled with the blood and bones of the Hui clan, it is even more powerful. Although not every member of the Kaguya clan can reach the level of Junmaro, the blood succession does have a great bonus to his own combat power. Even if it is not a perfect blood successor, this tragic fight was simply a one-sided slaughter. Amidst the splash of blood, mixed with muffled screams and screams, the Misty Ninja fell one after another. Hold on, Asada has already gone to report the letter. Terumi Ming-sama is coming here in person. As long as Terumi Ming comes, these traitors will be a dead end. From time to time, there was such a hoarse voice, which seemed to encourage his companions and seemed to cheer himself up. But in the end, the ending was unchangeable. All the Misty Ninjas were all killed by these Hui people. There were as many as a dozen Hui people at the scene. Almost every one of them looked like a bloodbath, coupled with the crazy and bloodthirsty expressions on their faces. It is just like the murderous pervert in the movie, enough to scare children. Terumi-me? Hey, my compatriots, there is no point in killing ordinary ninjas. If you want to kill Terumi-me, you can kill Terumi-me. Katachi Tachibana Yakira, A member of the Huai tribe licked the blood on his lips with his tongue, his eyes beaming authentically. By the way, kill Shui Ying, kill Terumi Mei, Patriarch, don't say anything, I can't wait. The other Huai people responded frantically one by one, and they all looked like they couldn't wait. This makes Liu Bian, who saw this scene, feel quite speechless from beginning to end. Haven't these Huai people thought about their fate? With their super powerful combat power, if they want to escape from the fog, they can't stop it with the current power of the fog. But these people obviously hadn't considered this kind of problem at all. They just wanted to kill it, huh? Just as the people of the Huai tribe were in high spirits, suddenly a misty ninja calmly jumped off the wall. The scene became a little quiet, and all the Huai clan members swept their heads and looked at this misty ninja dare to show up alone. Is this guy's brain pretty funny? You guys, do you know how to find Junmaro? But seeing the ninja calmly opened his mouth, as if he didn't put these people in his eyes at all. According to Liu Ren's memory, when the Kaguya clan rebelled, Junmaro did not act with the Kaguya clan, but acted alone. The command Huai gave him was to act according to my own mind and kill all the misty ninjas I see. Junmaro may be in any corner of the mist now. Liu Bian wants to find it, but it is not easy. However, some big clans and Hokage often have internal communication methods, which is naturally more reliable than Liu Bian's aimlessly turning around. Chapter 78. Camaro, how did you know the little devil in our clan who has perfect bones and blood inheritance boundaries? Patriarch Wei Yi looked at Liu Ren a little strangely and asked. Junmaro is the most perfect weapon of their clan. They have always kept Junmaro in the clan's land, and they have never released it. Not to mention the ninjas of Wuyan, even if they are the Kaguya clan, many of them don't know the existence of Junmaro. Unexpectedly, nowadays, a misty ninja came to look for Junmaro. This is too surprising. You only need to answer me. Do you know it? You don't need too much nonsense, Liu Ren said coldly. The patriarch, no matter what he is doing, you can just kill it. Yes, kill this guy. Let's kill it today, and don't care about everything else. The other Wei Yi clan members yelled at the patriarch one after another. Patriarch Wei Yi grinned at this moment, and he was unspeakable. Yes, today is a day when we enjoy the killing. Such a beautiful atmosphere can't be destroyed, no matter why this person knows Junmaro or why he is looking for Junmaro. None of this matters because the Huai clan will be destroyed together with the village today. Die? A member of the Wei Yi clan standing next to the patriarch uttered a low drink, then swished towards Liu Bian. Amidst the cooing sound, a hard and sharp bone spur grew from the palms of his hands, which pierced Liu Bian's chest fiercely. Shenwubi. Liu Bian didn't even move it once, but launched a long-range divine power against this Huai tribe. Click. The head of the Huai clan was directly severed. However, Liu Bian disliked that there was a head in the divine power space. That was too disgusting. After he transferred that person's head into the divine power space, he immediately used the process of divine power to transfer it out. All these processes happened too shortly, and it is impossible for people who don't know the truth to know exactly what happened. All they saw was that the clansman who assassinated Liu Bian moved with his inexplicable head's unspeakable weird thump. After a full 2 seconds, the headless corpse of the Huai tribe ran forward and fell directly to the ground. The scene became quiet again. Every member of the Huai clan was shocked by Liu Bian's weird and powerful method. However, after a brief silence, the group of Wei Yi in front of them all became crazy, their eyes gleaming excitement. Bloodthirsty light. This person is so strong. Kill him. It feels like killing such a person. Don't fight with me. He belongs to me. A group of Huai people rushed towards Liu Bian frantically. What a bunch of lunatics. Liu Ren cursed secretly in his heart, still standing motionless, and instantly entered the fairy mode. And Dadaole escaped from chakra, and began to gather crazily in the body. Chidori, crackling, a large web of thunder and lightning fell from the sky in an instant, covering all the Huai people in it. Chapter 64. Bone Vein, Dance of Early Fern. The Chidori flow used by Liu Bian, but the Chidori flow in the fairy mode. The power is not known how much greater than the Chidori flow of the second pillar. The group of Huai tribesmen who rushed towards Liu Bian were all electrocuted by Liu Bian, and more than half of them were killed and injured on the spot. Some Wei Yi clan people who were slightly weaker were electrocuted without even saying a word. The others who did not die were basically seriously injured and completely lost their combat effectiveness. There is only one exception: Patriarch Wei Yi. At the critical moment, Patriarch Wei Yi immediately used his own blood to follow the boundary to control the dense bone spurs protruding from all around him. A hard protective shell was formed, enclosing his whole person in it, thereby isolating the terrible thunder and lightning attackers. For the other Huai people, they can't do this at all. They can only drink hate. I have never seen such terrible thunder ninjutsu. Even the Black Thunder Fang with a thunder knife can't use this level of thunder ninja. You are not a ninja hidden in the mist, who are you? Patriarch Wei Yi fully reacted at this moment, his eyes widened, and he stared at Liu Bian and asked, but before Liu Bian could answer, Patriarch Wei Yi licked his tongue and said madly, "It doesn't matter who you are, just kill it. It's rare to see such a strong one, bone veins and 10 fingers piercing bullets." Chi. The sharp sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded, and the Patriarch Wei Yi opened his palms to face Liu Jian, and he continuously launched a large number of bone bullets. Each bone bullet is the phalanx of Patriarch Wei. Under the control of Patriarch Wei, these bone bullets are endless and dense like raindrops, pouring madly towards Liu Bian. This trick is actually quite powerful. Junmaro used this trick when he fought Gaara, and even Gaara's San was almost undefended changed to normal thunder done in ninja, and he would definitely have to kneel after encountering this trick. However, Liu Bian seemed to have not seen Patriarch Huai's attack against the sky at all, and he stood calmly in place. Chapter 79. Don't dodge. Is this guy looking for death? Did he respond? Patriarch Wei Yi felt a little puzzled with the surprised gaze of Patriarch Wei Yi. The bone bullet pierced Liu's body in the blink of an eye. The corner of Patriarch Wei Yi's mouth couldn't help but evoke a smug and cruel smile. This person was completely shot into a hornet's nest by his own bones, and he couldn't live anymore. Boom boom boom. But the next moment, Patriarch Wei Yi wondered if he had read it wrong. He actually saw that all the bone bullets had passed through that person's body, all hit the ground behind that person. Nanny. Patriarch Wei Yi was stunned. This person turned out to be illusory, but what happened to the chakra fluctuation that he uploaded? I still don't believe it. Patriarch Wei Yi felt startled and angry, and continued to shoot even denser bone bullets at Liu Bian unconvinced. Shenwubi. At this time Liu Bian sent a long-range divine might to the Patriarch Huai. Click. What? Patriarch Wei Yi clutched his right wrist and screamed. He only felt an inexplicable crisis just now before he had time to react. His right hand was so broken. Impossible. How could my hand break? Patriarch Wei Yi couldn't believe it was authentic. In order to prevent Liu Bian from using the terrifying thunder escape ninjutsu again, the bone spurs on Patriarch Guai have been maintained since they grew out. It didn't take it back. Even the hands and wrists are surrounded by bone spurs. Those bone spurs are extremely hard, and they are stronger than the ninjas usually used by ninjas, and they can be cut continuously with swords. What's more, there are several bone spurs together now. It broke in an instant. What's more terrible is that Patriarch Huai hasn't figured out what means Liu Bian used to cut off his right hand until now. Take me to Junmaro, or die. You choose one yourself. Liu Ren looked at Patriarch Guai coldly and said, Bone vein, dance of early fern. However, the response to Liu Bian was the cold and merciless voice in the mouth of Patriarch Wei Yi, and from the ground, bone spurs pierced out crazily one after another. The growth of the bone spurs was very exaggerated, almost just in the blink of an eye. Densely packed bone spurs grew out of a radius of several hundred meters. This is exactly the most powerful move that Patriarch Wei Yi can display now. Junmaro also used this trick when he was fighting Gaara, and he almost killed Gaara with a spear using it as a cover. If it wasn't for the critical moment of illness and death, Gaara would really be a gamma. The power of this trick is evident. However, for only a blade possessing the power of God, even this level of attack is difficult to play any role. Liu Bian completed the virtualization at the first moment that countless bone spurs thrust upwards. Those bone spurs all passed through his body and had no effect on him. Chi. On the contrary, the Huai clan people who were originally lying on the ground were all pierced by the Huai clan chief. The ones who hadn't died before were completely dead, and those who were already dead were whiplashed by Chief Huai. How could it be a tragic word? As for Patriarch Wei Yi himself, he sank into the bone forest and completely disappeared. But sneaking underground, these bone forests of early fern dance are not just one-way growth above the ground, but two-way growth together with a growth below the ground. In this way, the caster can walk through the ground at will, and then suddenly flash out from any direction of the bone forest, bursting into an attack. Gaara almost died in Junmaro's hands like this. It's worthy of the corpse, veins, blood, and bones. It's really difficult. Liu Bian experienced this kind of attack with the ultimate move, and couldn't help but sigh secretly in his heart. But there is nothing to worry about. There is no way. There are too many methods. Just so confident ordinary people, even if they are not stabbed to death by the bone forest, can basically not hide from the surgeon's violent and sneak attack. It's not like being on the ground. No matter how careful you are, there will always be some noises that people will catch. But the skeletal vein surgeon's walk through the bone forest is really almost silent. But for Liu Bian, as long as it is not truly silent, He can't hide from Liu Bian's perception because Liu Bian has a perfect fairy mode. Xianchu's perception is very terrifying. When Nagato wiped out Konoha, Naruto, who had just returned from learning fairy skills, could instantly perceive the chakras of all the ninjas of Konoha using the fairy mode. He even felt Kakashi's death. How terrifying is this perception? Chapter 80. As long as a little chakra fluctuates, Liu Bian can't escape the perception. Chapter 65. With just a thought, Liu Bian directly entered the fairy mode, and his perception instantly increased dozens of times and hundreds of times, reached a very terrifying situation. The Wei Yi patriarch hidden in the underground bone forest was instantly sensed by Liu Bian. All of its actions are invisible in front of Liu Jian. Of course, Patriarch Wei Yi didn't know all of this at all. He quietly walked under the bone forest, carefully shuttled behind Liu Bian, and quietly emerged from behind Liu Bian. Then a very exaggerated bone spear was condensed on the right hand in an instant, and it directly launched a thunderous blow to Liu Blade. At this moment, Patriarch Hui couldn't help showing a cold and cruel smile. With this blow, he must be able to pierce this person's body, but the next moment, the chrysanthemum smile on Patriarch Hui's face was so stagnant. Xiao, Liu Bian sent a thought to Xiao, who had communicated with him a long time ago, and he immediately entered the tail beast chakra mode. A big hand made of Xiao chakra burst out on his body, and suddenly squeezed Patriarch Hui by the neck. It was like pinching a chicken, pinching Patriarch Wei Yi by the neck, and confining Patriarch Wei Yi in midair. How could this be? An unbelievable expression appeared on Patriarch Wei Yi's face at this moment. He didn't know where he was. His movement in the bone forest had already been seen through Liu Bian and the chakra that suddenly emerged from the opponent's body. Could this person be a human being? Boom boom boom. The Xiao chakra on Liu Bian's body was surging, condensed 2 legs, and walked out of the bone forest with Liu Bian. At this time, Liu Jian used the hand of the tail beast chakra to carry the head of the Kaguya in front of him, and coldly said, "I don't have so much patience. Take me to Junmaro, or die. I'll take you." This is no problem. With a slightly distorted madness on Patriarch Hui's face, he agreed he was not Liu Bian's opponent by all his methods. Even if he didn't talk about Liu Bian, Chief Kaguya would find Junmaro. After all, Junmaro was originally the secret weapon of their Kaguya clan. Led the way, Liu Ren gave a cold drink and put down Patriarch Wei Yi. At the same time, he himself withdrew the tail beast chakra mode. Swish. The two started the instantaneous technique, and soon disappeared. Swish swish. But not long after the two people left, a group of misty ninjas appeared on the scene. The head of the female ninja has long brown purple hair, flowing like a waterfall, and her right eye is covered by her long bangs. A long blue dress with its fragrant shoulders exposed outside. The unspeakable amorous feelings are infinite. It is in the mist, like the sky. Xiao Miming Terumi Mei is naturally not a water shadow now, but the popularity in the mist is not lower than that of the 4th generation god Tachibana Yakura, and there are many supporters. In particular, under the control of this oil, Kodachi Tachibana Yakura brought the original rule of the blood mist to a cruel culmination, and a series of things such as suppressing the major blood successors. The Misty Ninjas are very disappointed with Kodachi Tachibana Yakura, although the misunderstanding has now been resolved. Kodachi Tachibana Yakura is controlled by others, but his prestige in Wuin is almost consumed. On the other hand, Miming, she is the most genius ninja ever in Wuin's history. Not to mention Chakra, who has the 4 attributes of water, earth, thunder, and fire. She also has the 2 major boundaries of melting escape and boiling escape. The voice of his successor, Shui Ying, is very high. What's going on? These Hui clansmen are all dead? There is also this bone forest. This is the dance of early fern. Terumi Ming saw the corpses of the Kaguya clan all over the floor. Her eyebrows wrinkled involuntarily, and she was very surprised and puzzled. The dance of Zaoju is a super killer move that only Patriarch Hui can display. Patriarch Wei Yi has even used such a big move. It means that he has encountered a strong enough enemy. At least it is a shadow level. But in the entire mist, how many shadow level ninjas are there? More importantly, in the bone forest on the scene, apart from the bodies of the Hui tribe, there were no corpses of other people. In other words, Patriarch Wei Yi still failed to kill the opponent even after using this ultimate move. On the contrary, the members of the Hui clan are all dead. How long has it taken since Terumi Ming received a request for help to rush in? Not long ago, Terumi Ming received a request for help from an ambush squad. The opponent encountered a large group of Kaguya people. The situation was very critical, and he needed Terumi Ming's support. Terumi Ming didn't dare to neglect at all, and immediately drove people over without stopping, but she was very surprised by what she saw. All the Hui people were dead. Master Terumi Ming, I've seen it. All the Huai people who surrounded us, except for the head of Huai, are dead. A bruised and embarrassed and ninja ran to Terumi Ming to report this person is the ninja who went to find Terumi Ming for help. Asada, Master Terumi Ming. From the various traces on the scene, this group of Wei Yi people has gone through 2 battles in total. The first time, obviously it was a battle with Asada and his team. In this battle, except Asada ran out to report to us, everyone else was killed. Chapter 81. After this, the Wei Yi people went through a second battle. Look at Master Terumi Ming. These dozens of Kaguya people still have extremely strong Lei-dun chakra left in their bodies. If I'm not mistaken, they should have been instantly defeated by someone using a large-scale thunder escape ninjutsu attack and lost their combat effectiveness. Immediately afterwards, Patriarch Huai resorted to the dance of Zaoju. These Huai people had no time to dodge, and half of them died under this trick. The other half died directly under the attack of the thunder dunge. When they were pierced by the bone spurs, they were already dead. Not long after, an Amb ninja ran over to Terumi Ming to report. Terumi Ming's expression was so solemn to the extreme. In fact, she had analyzed all of these conditions by herself, and there was no need for others to talk about it. Who is it that crushed a dozen Huai people in an instant? Terumi Ming frowned like a chrysanthemum in full bloom in late autumn. Think of those Lei-dun chakra again. Terumi Ming can think of only Hiho Liaya, the owner of the Thunder Sword among the 7 ninja swords, but Black Hole Lei yet had died in Konoha a year ago. Even the Thunder Knife was lost in Konoha. What's more, it is impossible for the Black Hole Thunder Eye to be the opponent of Patriarch Wei Yi. Who is that mysterious master who shot? Chapter 66. Hoha. When Terumi Ming took the Amb ninja to investigate the scene, Ryubana had already started to walk through the mist with Patriarch Kaguya hurried to Huai clan Liu Ren. Guessed right. Patriarch Kaguya did have a way to communicate with each other. He contacted Junmaro and asked Junmaro to return to the Kaguya clan to join him. Kimaro will be back soon. In the clan land, Patriarch Wei Yi said to Liu Ren. A bloodthirsty light flashed in his eyes. Kimaro is the most perfect corpse and blood follower of our clan. Kill him. Or, be killed by him. Click. When Patriarch Wei Yi was only halfway through what he said, Liu Ren cut off his head directly with long-range divine power. Now that he has found Junmaro, he will naturally not stay behind such a lunatic. After waiting for a while in the Huai clan, a child with white hair and 2 small red dots on his forehead appeared in the compound. There is no doubt that it is Junmaro. Junmaro looked at Liu Bian, and then at the corpse of Patriarch Huai who was lying beside Liu Bian, holding a bone blade tightly in his hand, and rushed towards Liu Bian. Wait a moment. Suddenly, Liu Ren opened his mouth and shouted at Junmaro. Junmaro really stopped, and his big eyes blinked at Liu Blade. Why are you killing me? Ryu Blade asked, staring at Junmaro softly. The Patriarch said, he wants me to kill all the misty ninjas I see. Junmaro replied subconsciously, do you want to do this? Liu Ren continued to ask calmly. Junmaro was taken aback when Ryubana asked, I don't know either. Since Junmaro remembered, he has been kept in the cell of the Kaguya clan. Every day for 3 meals, a hand will come in from the outside to deliver him food. This is the only exchange between Junmaro and the outside world for a long time. Junmaro didn't know why he wanted to live in this world. He didn't know the meaning of his life, although it belonged to the Kaguya clan. Until the Kaguya clan rebelled, Junmaro had not seen other Kaguya clan members, whether it is a tribe or a misty ninja. It is the same unfamiliar to Junmaro. The reason why he followed the command of the Patriarch to start a war against the Wuai ninja was not because it was an order from the Patriarch, but the bigger reason was that he didn't do so. Junmaro didn't know the meaning of his life. The reason why you hurt a misty people is because you don't know what you are going to do if you don't do it. You don't know why you want to live. You don't know what you want to do in life. Right. Liu Bian sent out a soul-like torture again. Then Ryun saw that Junmaro's pupils shrank, and the bone blade that was tightly held in his hand fell to the ground. Obviously Liu Bian asked about the idea. Kimaro, do you think it makes sense to live? Ryujin asked rhetorically in an unpredictable tone. Junmaro was startled again, don't know how to answer because Junmaro doesn't even know what it means to live in this world. It's meaningless for a person to live. Ryujin shamelessly moved out what Asamaru had said when he was flicking Junmaro, but if you live, you may find interesting things, just like I found you, Kimaro. Are you willing to leave this place with me? Junmaro nodded. For the first time in his life, he knew why he wanted to live and the meaning of his life. Kimaro, I still have something to do in Wu'an. It is temporarily inconvenient to bring you. I take a different space with me. You can stay in my different space for a while, Ryubana said to Junmaro again. The Huai clan is now Wu Ain's traitor. Once Wu Ain finds Junmaro, he will definitely arrest him. Although Ryubana is not afraid of Wu Ain's power, there is no need to be hard with Wu Ain. Ryubana didn't come here to make a big fuss. Junmaro nodded conviction again. Ryubana put his hand on Junmaro's body, and the God-powered pupil technique was used to collect Junmaro into the God power space. After doing all of this, Ryubana instantly entered the fairy mode, enveloped the entire Misty Village at once, and began to perceive the chakra of a person, or a Chimaru. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 82. Yes, it's a Shimaru, not Katachibana Yakira. According to Ryubana's memory, the Shimaru was also active in Wu Ain village when the Huai clan rebelled. This is a good time to take a shot at Dashiwan. Yes, Ryubana has to deal with Dashiwan for one thing. Since Oshimaru's convection blade shot a year ago, the two have become enemies, so naturally it goes without saying. Secondly, Liu Ren also wanted to go to Longdi Cave to sign in and obtain the magic in Longdi Cave. Thirdly, in terms of strength alone, Dashiwan is actually a very capable subordinate. Of course, it is basically impossible to fool a Shimaru to follow oneself, so for a Shimaru, Liu Ren had no choice but to use the other god's pupil technique on the opponent to modify a Shimaru's will. In fact, Ryubana is generally reluctant to use this kind of eye-defying pupil technique like other gods, if it is not specially needed. After all, using this thing is equivalent to opening a cheat device, which is really meaningless in the past. Since Liu Ren wanted to recruit some of his subordinates for major events, he naturally needed a secret base, and Dashimaru was also very good at this kind of thing, not to mention the number of secret test bases in the hands of Dashiwan. He even organized a village later. It is very in line with the needs of Ryubana. I found you, Dashiwan, soon. There was a look of excitement in Ryubana's eyes. Using the fairy mode, he has found the location of Dashiwan. A Shimaru and Liren fought each other a year ago, so Ryubana is very familiar with the chakra of a Shimaru, so you can easily find it simply by using the fairy mode. The vortex of divine might appeared, and Ryubana's figure quickly disappeared within the Huai clan's land. The village head of Wu Ain village, a figure, walked unhurriedly on the forest path, just like walking in his back garden or a Shimaru. Take the Bamboo Clan, this race that takes pleasure in killing, shouldn't exist at all. While admiring the scenery of Wu Ain, the Shimaru leisurely commented on Wu Ain's rebellion. But that kid is very interesting. It's not bad to take the blood of the Bamboo Clan to inherit the boundary. Dashiwan couldn't help but flash in his mind the little Wei boy who was only a few years old, and that person was different from other bamboo-taking people. The little boy didn't have the almost abnormal bloodthirsty factor, so he was an ideal container. A Shimaru, we meet again. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang behind Dashiwan. Shimaru was shocked. Chapter 67. Dashiwan couldn't help but be surprised. With his strength, someone could sneak in behind him silently, leaving him unaware of it. This is simply something I can't imagine. If the other party launches a sneak attack on him, it is likely to be a serious injury to Shimaru. He can't guarantee that he can avoid it in today's ninja world. There is still such a strong person. Who is it? And listening to this person's tone, it seems that I have seen it with myself. With this full of doubts and extremely vigilant, Dashiwan slowly turned around, and saw an extremely young and equally unfamiliar face. Dashiwan thought about it carefully, but he didn't remember where he and the person in front of him had met. But from this person, he did feel a very familiar feeling. Your Excellency. Have we seen it before? Dashimaru looked at Liu Jian with a vigilant face, with a slight dignity in his eyes. Of course I have seen it. Not only I almost killed you, Shimaru, but I didn't expect you to be a Zioqiang who couldn't be beaten to death. I saw you burn to ashes and you were still alive. Liu Ren shrugged, his face full of admiration. His admiration came from his heart. Dashiwan was really like Zioqiang who couldn't be beaten. He couldn't die no matter what. The ghouls were so full that they couldn't even turn any waves. But Dashiwan only paid the price of one pair of hands. Uchiha Itachi's 10-punch sword is no worse than a ghoul seal. Which ninja couldn't withstand it? But Dashimaru has abruptly escaped from this kind of seal against the sky. But what is very sad is that after escaping, a Shimaru was burned into by Itachi. Damn it, now, that's Amaterasu. But the Shimaru was finally resurrected. Although the final resurrection seemed to be a part of some luck, Ryubana believed that even if Sasuke did not resurrect a Shimaru would have its own means to resurrect. This kind of sturdy resume is really unacceptable. it's you?" Dashiwan's voice suddenly became sharper, and his face was surprised, jealous, and resentful. The shame Liu Blade brought to him at the time, he has been unforgettable for a year. When he has been so embarrassed when he has been in the ninja world for so long. "Yes, it's me, Dashuan, who let you escape last time. This time, I won't let this happen again." Chapter 83. Liu Ren said in an extremely plain tone, as if he was talking about a trivial matter of eating and drinking. "Haha." Dashimaru sneered, and stretched out his tongue to lick his lips. "Is it all your eyes?" After saying this, Dashimaru stopped talking nonsense, and opened his mouth sharply to Liu Bian, and a black snake emerged from his mouth. The black snake also opened its mouth wide, and many black snakes emerged from within, and the black snakes that emerged repeated the same actions. Thousands of torrents of black snakes formed in front of Liu Bian, and the black pressure covered the space in front of Liu Bian. Using the word torrent to describe it is definitely not an exaggeration. It's just describing the facts. If someone who doesn't know why looks at it from a distance, they really think that Wuan village has suddenly flooded. It's just a black flood. There are too many black snakes. As for the black snakes at the forefront, there was a Kusanergy sword in every mouth. After Dashimaru experienced the lesson last time, he no longer dared to underestimate the convection blade, and used this level of big move as soon as he came up. I have to say that this trick is indeed a very tricky trick. No matter how powerful the black flame is, can you burn all the countless black snakes? No matter how horrible the illusion of riding round eyes is, you can't see the face of a Shimuru. How can you use it? For the same reason. Such a large-scale snake attack, basically all ninjutsu is so pale and weak, and it can't do much. Of course, what Shimuru would not have thought of was that Liu Bian's tricks were far more than he had imagined. This level of ninjutsu is worthy of the three ninjutsu. Liu Bian couldn't help but secretly admired in his heart that this level of ninjutsu is completely crushing for the average ninja, and there is no way to fight it. Even Liu Bian now wants to break this snake attack. It is not so easy. Of course, it won't be difficult, but the conventional tricks are definitely not good. At least some big tricks are necessary. "Shao, chakra lends it to me." Liu Bian and Shao greeted, and instantly entered the tail beast chakra mode. And then condensed to tail beast jade, and blasted past the snake flow. The tail beast jade carried an unparalleled powerful aura and directly blasted into the snake stream. Boom! A huge energy fluctuation burst out suddenly, and the countless black snakes all exploded under the energy frenzy erupted by the tail beast jade. There is not even scum left. Nani? Dashiwan was shocked and couldn't believe his eyes. The other party broke his own trick in the blink of an eye. How can this be? What is the method of that powerful and shocking energy attack? How does it look like a tail beast jade? It wasn't until this moment that Shimuru suddenly realized that he still underestimated the method of flowing blades. Kang! At this time, the sound of breaking through the air suddenly sounded behind him, and when Dashuan reacted, a cold sharp blade had already cut through the skin of Dashuan and pierced his flesh and blood. It was Liu Bian who quietly appeared behind Shimuru. By using his divine power, Liu Ren directly drew out a sword, and cut it against the neck of Dashimaru. Not good. Such a thought flashed through Dashiwan's mind. Knowing that it was too late to dodge at this moment, he immediately stretched his right hand forward. A thick black snake crawled out of the sleeve of the big snake pill. Then the black snake opened its mouth, and another big snake pill got out of it. Laugh. It was also at this moment that the head of Oshimaru's body was directly chopped off by Liu Bian. Click. I don't know if it was a coincidence or Liu Bian did it deliberately. That head just fell directly in front of the Shimuru who had just crawled out, and it was so face to face with a Shimuru or Uchiha. If it's an ordinary person, I will definitely not die anymore if I go down with a sword. Uchiha, you have so many ways to save your life. Liu Bian's teasing voice also rang in Uchiha's ear at this time. Where is this? My methods are so many that you can't think of them. Dashiwan snorted coldly and got up from the ground. On the surface, Convection Blade was still dismissive, but in fact, he was already extremely worried about Convection Blade. He didn't even notice how the other party sneaked behind him just now. Chapter 68 Psychicism. After getting up, Dashimaru didn't say a word of nonsense, and immediately bit her finger, quickly nodded and patted the ground. Boom! A behemoth appeared in front of Liu Bian. It was a huge blue-purple python. Its head alone was as high as 2 or 3 Liu Bian, and its entire body hovered there, almost like a hill. Even if you don't do anything, it can be overwhelming. It is the psychic beast of Dashiwan. Wan Snake, Oshimaru, why did you tell me to come out again? Don't mention how unpleasant Wanchi's voice sounded. He whispered to Dashuan in a cold voice, don't underestimate this person, he is very simple. And he is from the Uchiha clan. Illusion is very terrible. Quickly close your eyes. I have never seen such a terrible illusion. Chapter 84. Dashimaru stood on top of Wan Shi's head, and said to Wan Shi in a solemn voice, "One snake is not an ordinary psychic beast, but an immortal snake from Longdi Cave, possessing an extremely outstanding sense of immortality. Even if you don't use your eyes, it won't affect 10,000 snakes fighting. Oshimaru, are you actually scared by this guy? It's really worthless." Wan Shi laughed very contemptuously, but despite this, Wan Shi closed his eyes for the first time. Although Wan Shi has always been unable to pull in front of Oshimaru, he is not without brains. On the contrary, he really knows that a ninja who makes Oshimaru fear to become such a ninja is definitely not to be underestimated. After all, Wan Shi is very aware of the abilities of the Oshi pill, otherwise how could he sign a contract with Oshi pill with his arrogance? But even if it is as strong as the Oshimaru, he is so afraid of the opponent's illusion, which shows that the opponent's illusion is really terrifying to a certain extent. In addition to illusion, he also has a very terrifying flame pupil technique. You also have to be careful. Dashimaru confessed again on the side. "It was so frightened that this is really not your temperament, Dashi-wan," Wan Shi said in a hoarse voice. Then he added a sentence. 100 sacrifices, one can't be less. When have I been less? Dashimaru laughed in the same hoarse voice rumble. Wan Shi twisted his huge to exaggerated body and rushed towards Liu Bian. As soon as Liu Bian Ren's mind moved, he entered the fairy mode, and the instantaneous technique unfolded, and the person suddenly disappeared in place. All of a sudden, Wan Shi's head knocked out a big hole where Liu Blade was originally located. What? It turned out to be a coward who didn't dare to face me at all. Wan Shi deliberately began to sneer and sneered. In fact, he didn't dare to underestimate Liu Bian. As the so-called peeping leopard can be seen, the instantaneous technique of Liu Bian is not available to ordinary people. "Okay, then I am as you wish." Liu Ren smiled, and then started to rush towards Wan Shi anyway. He had already taken advantage of his talents to leave the mark of the Flying Thunder God on Wan Shi's body. Court death. Wan Shi let out an angry hum, hovering over the huge to exaggerated body, and squeezed it towards Liu Bian. But soon Wan Shi felt something was wrong, because Liu Bian's hands began to condense an energy ball that made him feel trembling. How could it be? The spiral pill, the big snake pill on Wan Shi's head, can no longer calm down. No, it's Xianshu, the super large jade spiral pill. How can he also use Jiraiya's trick? Oshimaru is really a little confused. Does this Uchiha Ryubana know how to use magic? But when did he enter the fairy mode? Doesn't he need time to prepare? No, people who enter the fairy mode must have certain characteristics of change, but Uchiha Ryubana can't see any abnormalities. Also, Helix Maru now has only 2 people in Konoha, having Mizumi and Jiraiya. When will the Uchiha clan also meet? Dashimaru was indeed stunned by Liu Bian, but shortly afterwards, a light of crazy excitement flashed in Oshimaru's eyes. The more secrets Liu Bian had, the more he felt ecstatic. Such a body is simply a perfect container for -1 to meet and not seek. It was much more perfect than the little ghost of the Huai clan he had accidentally encountered not long ago. Boom! A burst of violent turbulence and fluctuations came. And at the same time, there was also a terrifying energy frenzy. Wan Shi's huge body was directly overturned by Liu Bian. During its tumbling, the entire ground was shaken, as if an earthquake had occurred. The momentum is simply exaggerated. Where's this sacred? Wan Snake couldn't believe this scene. He would be overwhelmed by a ninja with his own power. This is too much of a three-pointed view. Ah! Dashuan, you bastard, why didn't you say that this person is so powerful? You smashed my uncle to death. Immediately after, Wan Shi yelled at Dashiwan in anger and shock. It suddenly turned into blue smoke and disappeared, just ran away in a dinky manner. It's really fast. Liu Ren shrugged. These 10,000 snakes, alive and free, are just a local ruffian, and they are definitely a bully and fearful of hardship, reincarnated from the dirty soil. The hoarse voice with excitement in the Oshimaru rang at this time, and Liu Bian subconsciously followed the prestige, but saw that the ground in front of the Oshimaru was broken. 2 coffins rose from the ground. Hey, Uchiha Ryubana, this is a new trick I just learned recently. Oshimaru stretched out his tongue, licked his lips, and returned to that confident look. Although Uchiha Ryubana's various methods made Oshimaru very jealous, no matter how powerful the opponent is, it is impossible for him to withstand this trick. Infinite chakra and immortal body are completely open-ended, and even if those 2 can only display their strengths 5 or 6 out of 10, it is shocking enough. Clang, clang. The sound of the coffin lid opening sounded, and 2 ninjas wearing Warring State's clothes appeared in Liu Jian's line of sight. It is Dazuzi and Dazuzi's younger brother. What's going on? Senshao's Huma looked around in a daze, but couldn't figure out the situation for a while. Chapter 85. He is obviously dead. Someone reincarnated with dirty soil and summoned us. Qian Shaojian was the first to realize what was happening, and his brows suddenly wrinkled. Chapter 69, Ryublade versus thousands of hands reincarnated from the filthy soil? I told you a long time ago, don't develop this forbidden technique. You don't listen. Now it's being used on our body, right? Qian Shao's Huma glanced at Qian Shaojianma a little helplessly, and then his gaze fell on a Shemru who was standing behind them. You young man who summoned us. Shinjuzuma stared at the Shemru and asked Orochimaru. The feeling of being called a young man is really strange, but think about this person from the Warring States period anyway. It seems that there is nothing wrong with calling himself that way. The first generation, the second generation. I am a bit sorry for disturbing your peace, Shimuru said with a smile, sticking out his tongue and licking his lips. However, I encountered a very powerful enemy, and I had no choice but to do so. It just so happens that I also want to see the demeanor of the two Naruto lords. You are so courageous, you actually hide our heads. The attitude of Qian Shaojianma was much colder than that of Qian Shao's Huma. There is also a faint murderous intent in his eyes. If it weren't for the reincarnation of the foul soil was developed by him, he knew very well that he would be completely controlled by the caster, and Qian Shaojian would have done it on a Shemru a long time ago. Second generation, if I tell you that I'm doing this to ask you to deal with the Uchiha people, I don't know what you think. Facing the questioning and gloomy gaze, a Shemru shrugged nonchalantly, her face full of confidence. The second generation eye is very clear about the attitude of the Uchiha clan. Sure enough, when Senshoukei heard that he was going to deal with the Uchiha clan, his face suddenly condensed. Uchiha clan? Did they rebel again? Second generation, your prejudice against the Uchiha clan is really a bit deep. Liu Ren shook his head helplessly on the side. However, he also fully understands Senjusuma's feelings. After all, he personally experienced Uchiha Madara's rebellion, and even his eldest brother died because of it. How could you not be very wary of Uchiha, Mist Concealed Ninja? Why does this matter involve Mist Hidden? Senjuzuma asked strangely. Hadame, he is the Uchiha clan, a Shamru explained on the side. This person's strength has far surpassed Hokage, and even I doubt whether he has reached the level of Uchiha Madara back then. Is this person so good? The two Senjutsu's Huma brothers were very surprised, and some didn't believe it. No one knows the strength of Uchiha Madara better than their brothers. They don't think anyone in the ninja world can reach that level of perversion. How about it? You two Hokage will know it by yourself, Dashimaru urged on the side. When I don't know anything, I can't just attack others casually. Senju's Huma immediately rejected a Shimuru. If it's a member of the Uchiha clan, it's not impossible for me to take action. This clan is originally a clan with evil nature. Senshou thought for a while, but agreed directly. How can you say that? Didn't I tell you that you can't underestimate the Uchiha clan? Senjujuma immediately began to teach. Big brother, you are too naive, Qian Shao retorted in an unyielding manner, although I don't have a strong sense of belonging to the Uchiha clan. The words of the second generation of you sound a bit uncomfortable to me. Liu Bian frowned at this time, and interrupted Qian Shaojin. He is now Uchiha after all. Some people say in front of him that he is a kind of evil by nature, and it is strange that he sounds comfortable, and it's also very impolite. Erdemu, Liu Ren said to Qian Shaojianma heavily, this tone is really from Uchiha. Seeing that your strength is indeed very strong, it is safer to get rid of it. Thousands of hands began to walk towards Liu Bian. I'm really sorry for the first generation. Since you are disobedient, I can only erase your personality. Senjujuma's words were only halfway when he was interrupted by a Shemru at the same time. Oshimaru took out a piece of kunai full of surgical styles, and stuffed it into the back of the head between the thousand hands. Senshou's Huma stopped talking immediately, and completely became the puppet of a Shemru. Although doing so will weaken the combat effectiveness of Senjujuma, there is no way to do it. Who told Senjujuma to refuse to do it? Water escape, water breaking wave. The incomparably cruel voice of Qian Shaojian rang, and his hands were sealed like a phantom, and he quickly spit out a stream of water toward Liu Bing with his mouth open. Although this foul oil body in Qian Shaojian can only exert about 50% to 60% of its strength, his water-breaking wave is still much stronger than the water-breaking wave of Katachibana Yakira. It can only be said that the strength of the first and second generations is indeed too strong to be unreasonable. With a sneer, the water line spit out between Qian Shaojia directly penetrated Liu Bian's body. How could it be so easy? At the moment Senshouka hit Ryubana, he felt very surprised. This was Uchiha Madara level ninja, that's it. Even a Shemru felt very surprised. With Uchiha Ryubana's strength, shouldn't he be hit so easily? But the next moment, whether it was Kaian Shaojin or a Shimuru, his expression suddenly changed because Liu Bian suddenly turned into a phantom. The water line passed directly through Liu Bian's body, and did not suffer any damage. Illusion? When Kaian Shaojian's heart was suddenly startled, Shenwubi, it was also at this time that Liu Ren suddenly turned his head to look at Kaian Shaojianma, and the remote divine might directly activated Kaian Shaojianma. Chapter 86. Click. Kaian Shaojian's head was directly cut off by Liu Bian. Nani? Shimuru's eyes widened. What method did Uchiha Ryubana use to directly cut off the head of the second generation goal? This Uchiha Ryubana should have such a terrible secret trick. Yudu, Amaterasu, Tail Beast Jade, Super Large Jade Helix Pill. Pill has seen too many terrifying methods from Liu Bian, and he thought he had truly seen Liu Bian's strength, but now it seems that it is far from the case. Liu Bian still has more powerful methods that he hasn't used. What kind of perversion is this? How powerful and strange tricks seem to emerge in an endless stream. If that weird method was used on myself, would my head be gone? At this moment, Deshuin Convection really felt a kind of jealousy from the heart. Chapter 70. Originally, Shimuru thought that after he reincarnated from the dirty soil, the first generation and the second generation, it was more than enough to deal with Liu Bian, but who could have imagined that the second generation of Eyes had just shot Convection Blade, and Liu Bian would directly cut off his head inexplicably. If Erdemu is a living person, doesn't it mean that Erdemu is directly killed by Liu Bian? But fortunately, the damage to the dirty soil body can be automatically restored, but there is no need to worry about the second generation of Mu throwing on the street. But at this moment, Oshimaru's fear of Liu Bian had reached a point, and he never dared to be careless anymore. He immediately controlled the Senshao's Huma again, and rushed towards Liu Bian. But seeing Liu Bian shaking his hand and throwing a shot of Flying Thunder God Q to the headless body of Kaian Shaojian, then Flying Thunder God used it, and the person disappeared in place directly and perfectly escaped the attack between the thousand hands pillars. Fly God of Thunder? Shimuru almost yelled out. Uchiha Ryubana can even fly Thor. While Shimuru was staring with shocked gaze, Liu Ren appeared in front of Kaian Shaojianma. In an instant he stretched out his hand and placed it directly on Kaian Shaojian's shoulder. Because Kaian Shaojian's head had just been cut off and was recovering, there was no resistance. You can only let Liu Bian attack him, it's useless. No matter what kind of damage you cause to the dirty soil body, the dirty soil body will automatically recover. This is a waste of effort. When Oshimaru saw Liu Jian attacking the door again, she couldn't help but sneered and thought in her heart, Shenwubi. Liu Ren focused his gaze on the door, and the short-range Shenwubi directly used it, and a space vortex appeared. Kaian Shaojian had recovered half of his head, and the whole body was sucked into the divine mighty space, and disappeared as if it had never appeared before. Of course, the power of the gods is very large and can be controlled by Ryubana. Ryubana did not transfer the thousand hands to Junmaro's side. However, Senshao Kema is not a murderer of innocent people. Even if it is transferred to Junmaro, Junmaro will not be in any danger. Second generation Mu, get it done. Liu Ren clapped his hands, as if he had done a trivial thing. In fact, it is true, it's just 2 shots of supernatural power and 1 shot of Thunder God. That's all. No effort was wasted indeed. This is space ninjutsu. Shimuru felt that his whole person was numb. But Uchiha Ryu unexpectedly resorted to another trick that was abnormal to the extreme. The second generation, who had high hopes from Shimuru, was then transferred to other spaces by the opponent. Oshimaru immediately sensed that he had completely lost control of Kaian Shaojian. No, to be more precise, he couldn't sense the contractual connection with Senshao K. But even if it were to take a step back, the Oshimaru still retained the control of Kaian Shaojianma, and it was useless. Kaian Shaojianma would not be able to break through the space barrier and come out again. Now, there is only one person left at Senju's Hyujian, Mu Dun, snapped, under the control of Shimuru. Senju's shot directly click, the ground under Liu Bian's feet began to turbulent, and then one after another wooden branches broke out of the soil, one after another, circling towards Liu Bian like poisonous snakes, the same as Mu Dun. And the remaining blood state between the Kaian Shao's Hyujian is not known how much stronger than the Mu Dun used to bring oil at the beginning, and the 2 sides are completely different from each other. The speed, hardness, and wide range of these wooden branches between the pillars have to throw away the oil for several blocks. Shao, Liu Bian instantly entered the Tail Beast chakra mode, and a Tail Beast Jade shot directly at the large wood stick. Boom! All the wood sticks that broke out of the ground were instantly blown up by the Tail Beast Jade, and countless pieces of wood scattered and flew, and the power is also terrifying. not weaker than ordinary ninja shuriken throws. Shenwubi, at the moment when the obstacles in front of him were cleared by Ryubana also aimed his gaze at the Kaian Shao's Hyujin, and the remote divine might directly used it. Click. Chapter 87. Kaian Shao's Hyujin's head was also cut off by Ryubana, and a headless corpse just fell to the ground. But the moment the headless corpse fell to the ground, it turned into a wooden man. It's a wooden clone. Ryubana couldn't help but move. Senjujuma is worthy of being a perverted ninja known as the of ninjas. Even if his strength is far from reaching its peak, it is not so easy to deal with, especially after the opponent had already seen how Ryubana dealt with Kaian Shaojin. It was indeed not so easy for the same trick to work. Click. After Ryubana was tricked by Senjujuma's use of the wooden clone, Senjujuma once again controlled Muzi and began to launch a fierce attack on Ryubana. A large number of wood sticks broke out of the soil again and swept towards Ryubana, but this time Ryubana is different from last time, because Ryubana has already opened the fairy mode. Kaian Shao's Hyujin's attack was too fast. The last time Ryubana reacted, it was too late, and the surrounding area was covered by wood branches in the blink of an eye, and he could not even send out Fei Lei Shen Qiwu. But now, with the super perception of the fairy mode and the increase in physical ninjutsu, he can sense it when Uchiha just broke the ground. Ryubana shook his hand and fired a shot of Flying Thunder God Jutsu at the Kaian Shao's Huma. And the person disappeared suddenly and appeared in front of the Kaian Shao's Huma at the same time. A shot of Xianchu Helix pill was condensed in his hand, and he hit Kaian Shao's Huma fiercely. At this critical moment, Kaian Shao's Huma's right hand suddenly stretched out towards Ryubana. A large number of wooden branches appeared, and they quickly attacked Ryubana. But because the time is too short, after all, Fei Lei Shen is just a blink of an eye, and the wooden branch between the 1,000-hand pillars was only just born, and was hit by the Ryubana Xianchu Helix pill. Boom! All the wood sticks were instantly hit by Xianchu Helix pills, and they shattered into dregs at the same time. Senju's Huma himself was blasted abruptly by this huge energy impact. Can't even the first generation, can't suppress such a Ryubana. A Shamru only felt that her breathing became a little quick. This is the first generation, the of ninjas. Even if it is only half of the strength, it is not something ordinary people can deal with. Snapped. Kaian Shao's Huma quickly stood firm, slapped his palms, and several wooden dragons appeared directly, and began to rush towards Ryubana in a circling direction. They are all three extremely powerful monsters, and they can cause immense destruction with just one gesture. Boom boom boom. The earth was turbulent for a while, and big pits continued to appear, one after another. Cracks did not break, and the momentum was quite appalling. However, Ryubana has always maintained a virtual state. No matter how the three wooden dragons attack, they can't hurt him at all. In just a few moments, Ryubana's entire body was in ruins for several hundred meters. Chapter 71. Ryublade vs. Thousand Hands. What is going on? His body suddenly became illusory. Dashimaru was outside the battlefield, looking calmly like an old dog's flowing blade under the attack between the Senju columns. Her brows frowned like a chrysanthemum in full bloom in late autumn. He could not understand this scene at all. Didn't you know that you were hit by an illusion again? But it shouldn't, since Dashimaru was brutally abused by Liu Ren in the moon reading space last time. He never dared to look directly into Liu Ren's eyes since Ryubana appeared this time. He hasn't had any eye contact with Ryubana at all. It is logically impossible to use illusion. But what happened when the other party suddenly became illusory? Could it be his other tactics against the sky? Dashimaru felt that his head was already a bit bigger, and the various methods Ryubana demonstrated were beyond his ability to understand. Boom boom boom. The wooden dragon's attack on Ryubana continued, and Ryubana seemed to have not noticed it at all, so he launched the instantaneous technique and rushed towards the Kaian Shao's Huma. Ignoring all the wood dragon's attacks, he drove straight into the front of the Kaian Shao's Hyujin. Of course, during this period, he has been in a state of blur, and there is no problem with moving, but he can't attack the enemy. But there is no problem with pupil surgery. Amaterasu, Ryubana's riding wheel turned towards Kaian Shao's Huma, and the body of Kaian Shao's Huma suddenly burned with a terrible black flame. Snapped. Thousands of hands clapped his hands. Mew done. Click. A large number of wood sticks suddenly emerged from his body, pushing out all the black flames. Ryubana's attack against the sky did not have any effect on the Kaian Shao's Huma at all. But even so, it wasn't even the slightest effect. At the very least, this trick also caused trouble to Senjuzuma. He won a certain opportunity for Ryubana. Chidori, snap, thunder and lightning intertwined to form a big net, which fell from the sky and slashed densely towards the Kaian Shao's Hu. Chapter 88. Click. However, at this moment, around the Kaian Shao's Hyujin, A large number of overwhelming wooden branches began to gush out in an instant. An indestructible defense was formed around the Kaian Shao's Huji, and all the thunder and lightning of Chidori's stream were blocked by a large number of wood defenses, and also did not cause any damage to the Chidori Shizuchi. Even if he used Amaterasu to create a short time for himself, it was still the same. Thousands of hands is worthy of being. The big pillar is really hard to deal with. It's worthy of being the of ninjas. Liu Ren couldn't help but admire secretly, and his heart snapped. At this time, Kaian Shao's Hujian's hand slammed again. Done. The tree world is coming. Click. Suddenly the whole ground began to churn, and one tree after another big trees broke out of the soil, and they grew densely and rapidly in the blink of an eye. A forest was formed. Not only that, every tree in the forest is not static, but like a poisonous snake, constantly hovering, twisting, and interlacing each other. A big net is formed. Everything in the big net will be strangled to death by countless trees, crushed into meat sauce. There are no exceptions. It's amazing. The first generation eye. But just as the tree realm continued to grow, a voice suddenly rang from behind the Senshao's Hujian. Nani? When, whether it was Senjujuma or a Shimuru, both felt extremely surprised. How did this person escape from the arrival of the tree realm? They didn't see any clues at all. When the tree realm comes to this level of attack, Liubian naturally does not transfer through the divine power space. After all, Liubian body is actual eye. During the transfer he will definitely be strangled to death by countless trees. It also doesn't work if it has been in a state of blur, because the strangulation in the tree realm will last for a few minutes without any problems. Liubian used Fei Lei Shen to escape directly. So in a forest, how did Liubian launch Fei Lei Shen Qiwu? This has to be mentioned. With a continuous combat, Liubian's combat intelligence has also been improved a lot. It was not the first time that Fei Lei Shen Qiwu could not express this situation. So in order to solve this problem, Liu Ren split out a shadow clone in advance. That shadow clone has been hidden in the dark, with Fei Lei Shen Qiwu on his body, free to move around, and has always been out of the circle of war. In this way, the problem that Liubian Fei Lei Shen could not raise was naturally solved. Therefore, when the tree realm began to come and countless trees broke out of the ground, Liubian directly used Flying Thunder God to teleport out of the woods in the blink of an eye. Then he used the divine power to transfer and appeared silently behind Kaian Shao's Hujian. Not good. At the moment when Ryublade's voice sounded, Kaian Shao's Huma cried out inwardly, and was about to move, but, click, the head of Kaian Shao's Hujian was directly cut off by an inexplicable force. For the first time, Kaian Shao's Huma used Dun clone to crack Liubian's long-range divine power, but this time Liubian was surprised. Kaian Shao's Huma was directly attacked. Thump. Immediately afterwards, the headless corpse between Senjuzuja fell to the ground. Liubian did the same. Before the dirty soil body between the thousands of hands had recovered, he directly used the short-range divine power to transfer the opponent into his own divine power space, although the process was a bit more troublesome. Senju's Huma was smoothly solved by Ryublade or Orochimaru, so fast. Senjujuma was also solved so quickly. Or in the case of using the tree world to descend, the strength of Liubian can be said to be far beyond the cognition of Dashimaru. Uchiha Ryubana, you really surprised me. Dashimaru looked at Liu Ren with admiration and shock, and sighed. This is surprising. My real whole cards have not been revealed yet. Liu Ren shrugged and said lightly it was not pretending to be forceful, but to tell the truth. Suzuo, the power of the reincarnation eye, he had never used it. In that case, am I dead today? Dashi-wan stuck out his tongue and licked his lips. No. It's a pity for someone like you to die. A voice suddenly sounded from behind it as Liu Jian's shadow clone. It's better to mix with me. Several voices rang at the same time, and a group of Liubian directly surrounded the big snake pill, and each Liubian's eyes flashed with scarlet writing wheels. Chapter 72 Whoosh Whoosh. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 89. Without waiting for the Oshmeru to say anything, the group of Liubian all started the instantaneous technique and rushed towards the Oshmeru, instantly surrounding the Oshmeru. You think beautifully, Dashimaru groaned angrily. He didn't know which of the many Liu Ren was the main body and which was the clone, but at this moment, all of this is not important anymore. Dashimaru suddenly stretched out his hand in one of the directions. The black snake suddenly emerged from his cuff again. Chidori, but Liubian didn't give Dashimaru this opportunity. All Liubian shot together, and a piece of power grid instantly fell onto Shimiru's body. Shimiru didn't have the ability of Chidori's Yuma, and was instantly turned to the ground by the Chidori current. Numerous hands grabbed Shimiru together, and sent him to Ryubana, who turned to face the eyes of Shimiru. Don't activated directly by the gods. Shimiru was in a daze, and then returned to normal. Master Ryubana, I don't know what I need to do. Shimiru's will has been modified by Ryubana, and now, he has finished as a loyal subordinate of Ryubana. I want you to secretly investigate the whereabouts of the four-tailed man's Huli and the six-tailed man's Huli. Liu Ren said his request to Doshimaru. I will try my best to help the adults find these two people. Oshimaru immediately responded. At this moment, Liu Ren's thoughts moved, and Junmaro was released from the divine power space. Shimiru glanced at Junmaro, and smiled. So it's this kid. Is he also your person? Yes, from now on, Junmaro is no longer a ninja in the mist. Ryubana nodded and casually ordered Asamaru, you take Junmaro back first, I still have something to deal with. It seems that Ryubana-sama values Junmaro very much. Shimiru stretched out his hand and touched Junmaro's small head. Junmaro, during this period, you should go back with Shimiru first, and practice with him temporarily, and then see you when I have time, Ryubana said to Junmaro again. Junmaro nodded. Naturally there was no objection. Axie, Junmaro, let's go. Shimiru took Junmaro's hand and walked away. Ryubana also launched the instantaneous technique and disappeared completely. Not long after, Terumi Ming appeared here again with a group of misty ninjas, and they saw the wood that suddenly appeared on the scene. All of them were dumbfounded. What's the situation? Why did a piece of wood suddenly grow up in a blink of an eye? It's weird. They simply can't imagine how this situation is achieved. It is completely the existence of the broken three views. The fog is hidden in the woods on the edge of the village. Two figures were walking through the woods unhurriedly, and one of them had a pitcher plant growing on his shoulder, covering his head. The other figure is a guy wearing a white, strange mask with many swirls stacked on top of each other. They are the black and white Z and Uchiha. Bring the soil. Take soil. You can think clearly. Now you are Wu Ying's most wanted criminal. Now it is a bit risky to come to Wu Ying. Black and White Ju walked side by side with the soil, and said casually, the strength of bringing the soil is indeed very strong, and the magical pupil technique is also enough to guard against the sky, but it is far from reaching the level that one person can compete with a ninja village. Even when the Kodachi Tachibana Yakira is prepared, the soil may not be able to beat the Kodachi Tachibana Yakira after all. It was also a shadow of a human being. In addition, Wu Ying village is their home base, surrounded by water, which has a huge bonus effect for the water ninja. Just like Luosha in the Kingdom of Wind and Luosha outside of the Kingdom of Wind are two levels, the Gaji Tachibana store in Wu Ying village and the Gaji Tachibana store outside of Wu Ying village are also two levels. The strength of the dried persimmon ghost shark is good, especially at this time. I need such a subordinate. Even more, Tai Tu replied in a deep voice. In the past, he was not only a puppet named Citrus Orange Yakira in Wu Ying, but also dried persimmon ghost shark. The difference is that Goku Tachibana Yakira is a puppet controlled by an illusion technique with soil, while a dried persimmon ghost shark is a brainwashed subordinate of the Moon Eye plan with soil. However, after AO dismissed the illusion of Kodachi Tachibana Yakira, and Tachibana Yakira restored his own memory, the identity of the dried persimmon ghost shark was exposed. He was immediately caught by mist and locked in the dungeon. Bring this oil to Wu Ying this time, just to take the dried persimmon and ghost shark away. No way, the Moon Eye plan is too ambitious. This is not a plan that can be completed by one person with this oil. He must need a certain amount of external power to do it. Although there were a lot of Baiju, their strength was so horrible, there was nothing to see except one Afei and a black and white Ju. It's okay to inquire about the intelligence. Other things are not expected at all, and you can't do everything by yourself, right? Dry persimmon ghost shark is the first confidant that brought this oil to truly develop, not a tool person to be controlled, but a person who truly agrees with the Moon Eye plan. Bringing soil is still very important. Take soil. You insisted on taking away the dried persimmon ghost shark because of the threat of the Uchiha people, right? Sijiju suddenly remembered something, and said on the side at the same time. In the black and white Ju's mind, the figure who had suffered a meal in Wu Ying village suddenly appeared involuntarily. The voice with this oil was suddenly upset. Although that person is powerful, but I still don't take it seriously. If you really start your hands, it is not certain who wins and loses. How could Ito admit that he was so eager to take the dried persimmon ghosts away, and the threat of Uchiha Ryubana actually accounted for a large part of the reason. Black and white never clicked on the dirt, just said, according to the intelligence, the dry persimmon ghost shark is locked in a large prison in the dark part, and now someone is assassinating the Mandarin Orange Yakura. This is a great opportunity to bring dirt. Chapter 90. Haha, are anyone still assassinating Kochi Tachibana Yakura? Dai-Tu said with a joking smile. Under the control of this oil, Kodachi Tachibana Yakura can be said to have committed numerous evil deeds, and the assassination has not been interrupted. Although the truth has now been announced, Tachibana Yakura has long accumulated a large number of enemies, and many people do not believe that the remarks that Tachibana is controlled are just an excuse for Tachibana Yakura. ZHEZI. Then start acting, bringing this oil, responded, and the body was directly sucked into the vortex of divine might and disappeared. Chapter 73. The chaotic water shadow building. After separating from the Oshmeru, Ryubana entered the fairy mode for the first time, and felt the chakra of citrus orange Yakura within the scope of the misty hidden village. However, Liu Ren was a little surprised by the perceived result. Of course, it was not that he didn't perceive the chakra of Kodachi Tachibana Yakura. In fact, it was very smooth at this point, but Ryubana sensed several other chakras that surprised him at the same time. One is Yuhiko and Zayan, and the two originally came to Kodachibana Yakura to inquire about bringing the soil, but Liu Ren subconsciously thought that they should have left the mist at this moment. After all, Ryubana has been tossing in Wu Ain for most of the day. After such a long time, he can eat several meals. Yuhiko's affairs should be finished. However, Liu Ren didn't expect that the two of them hadn't left Wu Ain, and instead stayed with Kodachi Tachibana Yakura. Another chakra that made Ryubana feel unexpected was that he had soil as for the other target of Ryubana's trip, the dry persimmon ghost shark. Ryubana didn't know the chakra of this person in advance, but could only investigate slowly, whether it is Goku Tachibana Yakura or Yuhiko Konan. Chakra is in a state of excitation. Around them, there are also other chakras who are also in a state of excitement. Could it be these few of them are in a battle? Ryubana guessed secretly mist concealed such a big thing, and Ryubana didn't see Kodachi Orange Yakura showing up. Maybe it was really caught by something. Today's mist is hidden. It seems that it is really not peaceful. Liu Ren couldn't help but sighed secretly, and then a vortex of space appeared in his pupils, sucking his whole person into it, and disappeared. The next moment, his figure quietly appeared on a clearing outside the door of the water shadow building, hidden in a corner of the wall. Boom boom boom. Looking around, as expected, Kodachi Tachibana Yakura, Yuhiko and Zayanin were fighting with several others and the people who fought with them. Liu Ren was also very familiar with, and it was the two of Taudi Nozan and Bias for the other one. It is very similar to the dress of Ghost Deng Shuiyu using the swordfish muscle very skillfully in his hand. Ryubana could easily guess that this person is the short-lived brother of Gui Deng Shuiyu, Gui Deng Man Yu. Mamachi will no longer be cut with Ghost Lantern Man Ayu to deal with Kochi Tachibana Yakura? What's the situation? Liu Ren felt a little surprised, but Mamaji did not cut it because he failed to assassinate Tsukaji and became a betrayal. He was kind to say to Kodachi Tachibana Yakura the Ghost Lantern full moon actually shot together, which was a bit beyond Ryubana's expectation, but thinking about it carefully, Liu Ren felt that this was not too strange. The Ghost Lantern full moon hadn't explained much in Hokage, but he only knew that he died very early. As for how he died, no one knows, but what is certain is that it is not a natural death, but a sudden death. Even the possibility of death from illness is unlikely. After all, ninjas don't get sick at all under normal circumstances. Of course, some blood succession families may get blood succession diseases, such as Kaguya Kunmaro, but this is obviously not the case for the full moon. After all, his brother Gui Deng Shuiyu does not have any hemorrhagic disease. Ghost lanterns are more likely to be killed during the full moon, and because of the cruel rule of Wu Yin in the blood mist, many ninjas have assassinated Citrus Orange Yakura, and it is not strange that the ghost lamp shot at the full moon. Recall that in the anime, when the Kaguya clan rebelled, Junmaro saw Teoדי Zabuzian and Ashemru in Wu Yin one after another. At that time, Teoדי was obviously rebellious if he didn't cut it. Then, after he had failed once, why would he return to Wu Yin again? Is it just relying on an ice shield to succeed in blood? Bai K was still a child at this time. Now seeing Ghost Lantern Man Moon also shit together, Liu Ren seemed to understand this. Even the Kaguya clan's rebellion, Liu Ren didn't know whether it had anything to do with the assassination of Kodachi Yakura. After all, the Kaguya clan's rebellion simply provided an excellent opportunity for Teoді to not be cut. Of course, it is also possible that after Ghost Lantern Manai received the news of the Hui clan's rebellion, he took the opportunity to call Teoді to stop cutting it. What it looks like, Only the people like Ghost Lantern Full Moon knows, and Liu Ren is too lazy to explore it. As for Yuhiko and Xiaonan, it should be just bad luck that they happen to be involved with their two temperaments. If someone assassinates Shui Ying, they would definitely not stand idly by. Jingle bells, boom boom boom, the battlefield was dazzling, with energy fluctuations constantly erupting. Yuhiko Xian and Tong Teodi no longer could, and the white duo played an inextricable match, no longer slashing Teodi, holding the blasting knife droplets in his hand, not to mention how domineering in the opening and closing. He continued to chop and chop Yuhiko. The original Peach Ground no longer used the decapitation knife, but now the decapitation knife has been lost in Konoha. There were only two knives left in Wu Ian, the blasting knife droplets and the shark muscle, which were kept by the Ghost Lantern Full Moon. After Ghost Lantern Man Ayu and Teodi stopped working together, they gave the blasting knife droplets to Teodi again. The blasting knife droplet is also a thick and heavy knife. Almost every knife has a great power, and the power is very terrifying. In addition, there are countless detonating symbols on the blasting knife, and once it explodes, it will be even more remarkable, forcing Yuhiko to retreat steadily. He didn't dare to stop cutting head-on with Teodi, or even dared not get close to Teodi again. Chapter 91. Can only continuously dodge through physical skills. Chi. If it were not for the continuous support of Xianan's paper shurikens, Yuhiko would really not be able to beat Teodi again. No matter how Mamachi does not kill, he is also a genius in Wu Ian. He killed all the candidates in the ninja graduation exam, and even assassinated many important people after joining Enbu, known as Mist Hidden Ghost Man. The strength is naturally not comparable to Yuhiko, although Baizai's shield blood succession is powerful, but he is too young now, so he can only play a supporting role in this battle. Therefore, these two groups are worthy of a fight. The same is true on the Ghost Lantern Full Moon, and it is inextricably difficult to distinguish from Kadachi Tachibana Yakira. Even though Tachibana Yakira is powerful as a misty water shadow, the full moon of the ghost lamp is also a very rare genius in the mist. On the strength of ninjutsu, it is really no worse than Tachibana Yakira. Although Kadachi Tachibana Yakira is a human force, but the scalpel muscle is the nemesis of the human column force, and the advantages of Kadachi Tachibana Yakira in this respect cannot be used at all if you are not careful. Chakra will be sucked away by the shark muscle. Ghost Lantern Full Moon, I really can't think of it. Even you betrayed the village. In the midst of the fierce battle, a voice rang out with extreme anger and surprise. At the same time, a figure fell from the sky. It was Terumi Mei. Chapter 74. This day is definitely not an ordinary day for Terumi Mei, because the worst rebellion ever occurred in the village, including the Huai clan. Several blood successors broke out in rebellion at the same time. Yes, it's not just the Huai clan who rebelled, because Wuan has long and suppressed the major blood succession families. The major families have long been intolerable. With the Huai clan taking the lead, many families have come out to respond. That's why the Misty Ninja was so devastated that he had no time to do so that Ryubana and Ashemaru had been fighting for so long without being noticed in the absence of Tsukage. Terumi took a lot of strength to bring the Misty Ninja to suppress the rebellion of the Bloodstained family. After the matter was finished, Terumi Ming dared not delay for a moment, and immediately returned to the Flying Building to report to Kadachi Tachibana Yakira, who would have thought that the Water Shadow Building was blocked by a Misty Ninja, whereas Terumi Ming, who still doesn't know that something is wrong. In recent years, many people have wanted to kill Kadachi Tachibana Yakira. Obviously, this time someone took advantage of the great opportunity of the Zuji family rebellion to make another move. Terumi Ming didn't dare to neglect, and immediately rushed in, and she saw the scene she didn't want to see the least. Terumi Ming, Ghost Lantern Man Yu and Tao Di no longer cut their pupils slightly, and they felt their heads widen for a while. Terumi Ming's strength is very strong, and since this woman has rushed back to support, their action to assassinate Kadachi Tachibana Yakira is doomed to fail. Thinking of this, both of them glared at Yuhiko and Xiaonan with incomparable resentment. If they hadn't suddenly come out to disrupt the situation, they would have already retired. Where will it be delayed until Terumi Mei arrives? I didn't betray the village. On the contrary, it was for the village to get rid of Citrus Orange Yakira. Giden Manayu Yoshihide retorted vigorously. Terumi Mei, you can see how much damage has been done to the village during the years when Kachi Tachibana Yakira has been a water shadow. Without him, the village would be better. All I do is for the village. Ghost Lantern Full Moon, Mizukage-sama is controlled by Uchiha Madara. The truth of this has already been revealed. Terumi Ming frowned and explained to Ghost Lantern Full Moon, I don't believe in Qing, nor do I believe in you. I only believe in my own eyes. Gui Deng Man Yu said with a cold snort. Terumi Ming, don't talk nonsense, take this traitor down, Kodachi Tachibana Yakira at this time in a deep voice instructed Terumi Ming. What else can Terumi Ming say? Her hands began to form quickly, and she opened a mouth to the ghost lamp. Full moon, water dunge, water dragon bomb. Wow, a water dragon condensed in an instant, carrying an extremely fierce momentum, and rushed towards the full moon of the ghost lamp. But when the ghost lantern full moon suddenly put the shark muscle on the ground, it also began to form a seal on both hands, and the speed was not slower than Terumi Ming. Wow, another water dragon formed in an instant and slammed into Terumi Ming's water dragon. Boom. The two water dragons collided fiercely in the air, then they dissipated into the invisible together. Terumi Ming's face couldn't help showing a dignified look. The ghost lamp full moon is worthy of a misty genius, and he still has this kind of strength after fighting with Kodachi Tachibana for so long. The conventional moves are probably not enough to defeat the ghost lantern full moon. Ghost lantern full moon, if you are still obsessed with understanding, I'm really welcome, Terumi Ming said with a grim expression to warn ghost lantern full moon. At this point, do I still have a choice? Gui Deng Manayu snorted coldly, and stretched out his hand to grasp the shark muscle tightly. Then he started the instantaneous technique and quickly rushed towards Terumi Mei. Yohiko, Xianin, leave these two to me. The Kodachi Tachibana Yakira, who had freed his hand, walked towards the battlefield between Yohiko and hurriedly. Both Yohiko are his guests. Now that he has spare capacity, he can't let his guests take action anymore. Yohiko and Xianin didn't want to take the lead either. They didn't say much, and they each launched a blinking technique and withdrew from the battle group. Kodachi Tachibana Yakira walked step by step towards Mamaji. No longer cut. Mamaji didn't cut his face anymore. He knew that the situation was actually very bad. After all, he was not the opponent of Kodachi Tachibana Yakira at all. But now, apart from a fight, Teodi had no other way to stop cutting it. Kang. Chapter 92. Without cutting it, Mamaji directly swept the blasting knife in his hand, and rushed towards the Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. Chi. Bio also shot ice needles one after another toward the Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. However, with a move of Kodachi Tachibana Yakira's heart, he directly entered the tail beast mode, and his body was instantly wrapped in a fiery red chakra coat. The white ice needle hit it as if it was tickling, and it was melted as soon as it touched it. It couldn't cause any damage to Kodachi Tachibana Yakira at all. After that, the Tachibana Yakira suddenly condensed a tail of beast jade, and blasted past a peach ground without cutting it. Teodi didn't cut it, and subconsciously pulled out the explosive knife in his hand. Boom. No longer slashing, Taogi suddenly shook his body, as if hit by a high-speed train. He flew upside down. He fell heavily to the ground with a bang. Bloody. Although he was not dead, he was so badly injured that he couldn't even get up. At the same time, the blasting knife in his hand was knocked off. All of a sudden snapped, but at this time, suddenly a hand grabbed the blasting knife droplets, and a masked man appeared on the scene. You dare to show up? Kodachi Tachibana Yakira turned to look at the man. His eyes suddenly widened, and the whole person became murderous and awe-inspiring. You, Chi, Bo, Madara. He burst out these four words almost word by word from his mouth. The visitor is Uchiha who brought the soil. It's really unexpected. I only wanted to take away the dried persimmon ghost shark, but I didn't expect to encounter such a good show. Tato looked at the citrus orange Yakira in a playful manner. Are you Uchiha Madara? Terumi Mei was also taken aback, no longer caring about the full moon of the ghost lamp, and stared at Ito as if he was facing an enemy. As for the ghost lantern full moon, I was a little surprised. Could it be that what they said was true? But even so, the ghost lantern full moon has no turning back. Ghost lantern full moon, did you even start with Kodachi Tachibana Yakira? Ha ha ha. Sure enough, everything in this world is false except for our plan, Lord Madara. Another sound like a subwoofer rang. It was the dried persimmon ghost shark rescued by the soil. The faces of Terumi Ming and Kodachi Yakira became ugly again. The strength of the dried persimmon ghost shark was much stronger than the ghost lantern full moon plus a legendary Uchiha Madara. The situation is not optimistic. The atmosphere at the scene began to become extremely depressed. Chapter 75. The powerful Uchiha Madara ghost lantern full moon. Now Uchiha Madara has appeared. Should you believe it? Kodachi Tachibana Yakira's complexion became dignified. He stared at the full moon of the ghost lamp and said in a deep voice, I think you are loyal to the village and don't know the truth. It's forgivable. I'll give you a chance to commit crimes and make meritorious deeds. As long as you help me kill Uchiha Madara, I will not be blamed for everything today. Ghost lantern full moon, since Master Shu Aing promises you in front of me, it won't be a lie, Terumi said to Ghost lantern full moon. 2. The Ghost Lantern full moon fell into contemplation. If only Kodachi Tachibana Yakira were alone, he would naturally not be fooled so easily, but now there is an additional Terumi Ming guarantee. The Ghost Lantern full moon was really shaken. Don't be so nervous, Kodachi Tachibana Yakira, I am not here for you this time. At the nervous scene, Daitu laughed softly. The dried persimmon ghost shark walked step by step towards the Ghost Lantern full moon, and stretched out his hand to the Ghost Lantern full moon. Big sword shark muscle, should you give it back to me? After the dried persimmon ghost shark killed the watermelon mountain puffer fish ghost, he became the new owner of the big sword shark muscle, and has always regarded this knife as his own. Not only that, the abilities of the dried persimmon ghost shark is also very compatible with the big sword shark muscle. Since he was going to leave the village with this oil, he naturally wanted to take it away. If you want, you can come and get it by yourself. The Ghost Lantern man Ayu snorted coldly. Without the shinobi, his strength would be greatly reduced. How could he hand over the swordfish muscle so easily? Hey, I'm afraid that if you are not careful, I will take your life. The dried persimmon ghost sneered, no longer nonsense, and rushed directly towards the full moon of the ghost lamp. There is no nonsense in the full moon of the ghost lamp, and he stretched his muscles and slashed towards the dried persimmon ghost, and the two started fighting. Terumi Mei, you and I shot together to kill Uchiha Madara, Kodachi Tachibana Yakira shouted. In contrast to Mei, yes, Lord Shuang, Terumi agreed. Her hands slammed, and she opened her mouth and vomited towards the soil, edging and monster melting. A large piece of viscous liquid with extremely strong corrosiveness was directly poured onto the soil, and the whole person with this oil was enveloped in it at once. But what made Terumi Ming feel very surprised is that in a blink of an eye, the melting liquid went directly through the soiled body and splashed on the ground. It was like a body with soil suddenly became illusory. Terumi Mei, Uchiha Madara's body can be virtualized, and all physical attacks and ninjutsu attacks will be invalid, Kodachi Tachibana Yakira said to Terumi Mei in a deep voice. Terumi could not help frowning. If this is the case, what can be done to deal with Uchiha Madara? However, there should be a time limit for his blurring. You only need to continuously attack him to break it. Kodachi Orange Yakira said this again after considering it. When he was controlled and played with often Shumin in Yuan village, he was spoiled by Ryubana. With this oil, he used to attack Ryubana without interruption. Although Daito did not say the purpose of doing this, Kodachi Tachibana Yakira is not a fool. How can he not guess this? Chapter 93. After all, Ryubana and this oil-carrying virtual methods are exactly the same, and the dialogue between Ryubana and this oil-carrying at that time is also quite enlightening. It is naturally not difficult to guess this point for the Mandarin Orange Yakira, who has recovered his memory. Don't mention how depressed it is to bring this oil. Divine power was originally his super killer. With this move, there is no problem with the entire ninja world, but now, people have even understood the secret. Blame the Konoha Uchiha. If it weren't for him, how could Shenwui's secrets leak out? Don't mention how angry the convection blade with oil is. Water escape, water breaking wave, water escape, water shock wave. After Kodachi Tachibana Yakira explained to Terumi Ming, the two stopped talking nonsense, and at the same time began to quickly seal. Each spit out a fierce water line to this oil. Now that they have known the secret of their divine power, they will naturally not use the blur. Stupidly he patted his hands. Mew done. Click. A large number of wood sticks suddenly emerged from the souls of Kodachi Tachibana Yakira and Terumi Mei, and launched a frantic attack on the two. Nani? Mew done. Terumi was taken aback. Is it strange that the extra forest in the village was caused by this man? The moment these thoughts flashed through his mind, Terumi Ming hurriedly launched the instantaneous technique to dodge, and the original attack was naturally interrupted. The same is true for Kodachi Tachibana Yakira, dodging left and right in embarrassment, simply vulnerable. Click. However, the wood sticks under the feet of the two of them were endless, and they were chasing the two and biting them. They couldn't dodge for a long time before they were all by the sticks. Solving escape, the art of melting monsters. Terumi Mei opened her mouth and spit out a large piece of corrosive liquid, and immediately melted a piece of wood in front of her. But at that moment, a larger number of wood sticks rushed over again, and also tightened Terumi Mei's neck tightly, so that Terumi Mei could not even breathe. Either her dissolution or her evasion, she couldn't get it all out. As for Citrus Orange Yakira, he also directly entered the tail beast mode, with a large number of crimson chakras appearing on his body, and he was struggling desperately. Nahimu Dun originally restrained the tail beast chakra, even if it was in this state. Kodachi Tachibana Yakira couldn't get rid of it. The dignified Huli Water Shadow and the Misty Shadow Super Genius were so easily brought to subdue soil. This is the power of Mudun. It is simply another level of power above the existing system of the ninja world, even though the Mudun with oil is several grades inferior to the Mudun between Senjutsu, but it is still crushing when used against ordinary ninjas. Yes, damn. Is this Uchiha Madara? He has such a terrible power. Terumi Ming was frightened and couldn't accept it. She is one of the top masters in Wuian, and now teaming up with Kodachi Tachibana Yakura, they are so vulnerable. Chi. In the quiet scene, the sound of breaking through the sky suddenly sounded. It turned out that when Zionon was taking advantage of this oil to deal with Kodachi Tachibana Yakura and the others, he quietly flew to the back of the soil, and launched a large piece of paper shuriken against this oil. However, it was useless at all. And they were all blocked by the easy use of Mudun with oil. Click. After the wooden branches blocked the paper shuriken, they still attacked Zionon. Fortunately, Zionon flew fast, otherwise he would not be able to escape the clutches of dirt. Zionon, don't you care about Yahiko? Daito smiled, and started to control Muzzy and attacked Yahiko. Zionon's complexion suddenly changed, and he hurriedly flew down, resisting the wooden sticks with Yahiko, but was also very easily entangled by the wooden sticks. Of course, Zionon then turned into countless papers and flew out, just thinking about how to rescue Yahiko, and no longer cared about bringing dirt in a blink of an eye. All the people on the side of the Kodachi Tachibana and Yakura were all brought to the table. Chapter 76. The true face of Uchiha Madara. This is Uchiha Madara? It's so scary. The ghost lantern full moon that fought against the dried persimmon ghost shark could not help but sweat profusely on the side. This Uchiha Madara's strength is too outrageous, right? With this distraction, the ghost lantern was taken advantage of by the dried persimmon ghost shark in the full moon, and he was forced to retreat with one move and snatch the big sword shark muscle. Buzzing, the big sword shark muscle fell into the hands of the dried persimmon ghost shark, and there was a slight shaking, as if he was excited. The dried persimmon ghost shark gently touched the mackerel muscle with his hand, and a ray of light flashed in the eyes of the dead fish. Excited? Haha, I am also very happy to see you again, mackerel. With that, the dried persimmon ghost shark put the shark muscle directly on his back. Zai, Master Ben, the shark muscle is already in hand. Let's go now, the dried persimmon ghost shark said to the side of the soil. Go? Why are you so anxious? But at this moment, a voice suddenly rang, and everyone on the scene couldn't help but be surprised. All looking towards the direction of the sound, I saw that there unexpectedly did not know when. A very strange misty ninja appeared. When did that person appear? No one at the scene noticed it in advance, but one thing is beyond doubt, that is, this inexplicable ninja who suddenly appeared is by no means idle. Dried persimmon ghost shark, I am here specifically for you this time. The population said something very understatement, and walked towards the dried persimmon ghost step by step calmly. Kodachi Tachibana Yakura, Terumi Ming and others were all confused, looking at the man in amazement secretly. This person is crazy. Did you see Uchiha Madara, who is loyal to the dried persimmon ghost shark, so defying the sky? Are you looking for death? Chapter 94. Oh? Your Excellency actually came for me? I don't know what your Excellency could do if you were looking for me. Dry persimmon Gyayu stared at Liu Ren with interest. Yes, the person who came is Liu Bian, there is no doubt about it. Conquer you, Liu Ren said bluntly about his purpose. I am very optimistic about you, so follow me. Dry persimmon ghost shark, other people on the scene, is this man a lunatic? In front of Madara Uchiha? Go to dig the corner of Madara Uchiha? Thank you for paying attention to me, but I'm sorry, my current master is Lord Madara. The dried persimmon ghost shark stretched out his hand to hold the scalpel muscle and grinned. It's this waste wood. Liu Bian glanced at one side with dirt and disdain, with a face full of dissatisfaction. He is not worthy of being your master. Everyone at the scene was so irritated by Ryu. Even Uchiha Madara called it a waste. Is this guy okay with his brain? Master Ben, someone looks down on you. The dried persimmon ghost was also happy. He had never encountered such a thing. But, the dried persimmon ghost shark's expression suddenly became cold, and he pulled out the big sword shark muscle, and walked towards Liu Bian. This kind of neurosis, let me get rid of this kind of neurosis for you. Hurry up, don't waste time, Tai Tu said to the dried persimmon ghost shark coldly, but his eyes were always on Liu Bian. I don't know why. When this misty ninja first appeared, Jaidi felt that this person gave him a very familiar feeling. The dried persimmon ghost shark walked towards Liu Bian step by step. And then suddenly a fierce force broke out on his body. And he smashed the shark's muscles and slashed at Liu Bian. The dried persimmon ghost shark is said to have no tail, and the amount of chakra in the body is amazing. and it is naturally not an ordinary move that can be dealt with. Ryubana entered the fairy mode in an instant, and thundered at the dried persimmon ghost shark. Chidori Liu, crackling, a power grid fell from the sky and directly enveloped the dried persimmon ghost shark. Suddenly, the dried persimmon ghost shark was knocked to the ground by such a piece of lightning, and the shark muscle in his hand fell to the ground with a snap. People are also paralyzed, completely losing combat effectiveness. Without a powerful thunder ninjutsu, the pupils of Kodachi Tachibana Yakira, Terumi Ming and others couldn't help but shrink slightly, and even they were shocked by the power of Chidori Ryu. It's him. Could it be? It's him. And while Terumi Ming was surprised, he couldn't help but flash through his mind that the mysterious Thunder Dunge Master who had overturned a dozen of the Kaguya people in an instant, could it be this person? When did Wuin have such a number one person? Bringing this oil was also shocked, being able to defeat the ghost shark so easily. The strength of this mysterious man is indeed extremely powerful. However, if it was just this thunder ninjutsu, the soil was still not in his eyes. He let out a cold snort in his mouth, and then slapped his palms. Done. Click. Large tracts of wood sticks quickly emerged from Ryubana's feet, piercing and strangling frantically against Ryubana. However, Ryubana's figure disappeared in the same place. Very strangely, of course, the old method was used, and a shadow clone was separated in advance, and the shadow clone was carrying Fei Lei Shen Kyu, so that Liu Ren could use Fei Lei Shen to move to wherever he wanted to go at any time. Shenwubi. Not only that, after the transfer, Liu Ren didn't have any nonsense, and immediately used the long-range divine power against A. To click, there was a strange sound of something being cut off at the same time. A strange shout rang. Ah! It hurts. My head is gone. At this moment, the mask on Uchiha Madara's face suddenly disappeared, revealing his strange face full of wrinkles at the same time. On the body with the soil, one after another white vines were shaking and struggling frantically, and they looked like living things. That strange cry seemed to come from those white vines, combined with the voice and the twisting look. It looked painful. Uchiha Madara. At this moment, everyone saw the real face with dirt, and their faces were suddenly suspicious. This is clearly a child. Shit, Uchiha Madara, it's you. It's you again. While Uchiha brought the soil, he turned his head away with a gloomy and shocked face, staring at Ryubana in fright and anger. At the very moment when it was just that critical moment, Uchiha Daizu noticed the remote power of Ryubana at the moment when a Fei's head was cut off. Although Liu Ren's appearance at the moment was different from the original one, Tato believed that the ninja world would not be able to find a third person. This person must be Konoha's Uchiha. Chapter 77. Baiju Fei has always been wearing Baiju Fei on his body. It can be said that he naturally wears a layer of body armor. Naturally, Ryubana will not choose to use Amaterasu to deal with this oil again. That dealt with it was not taking soil, but Alfie. Therefore, after Ryubana was transferred out through Fei Lei Shen, he directly displayed long-range divine power on this oil. Long-range power is a kind of special pupil technique. This kind of attack can be regarded as special cutting. Shenwubi can completely cut off a Fei and this oil, but taking soil was not so easy to deal with after all. When a Fei's head was cut off by him, taking soil stopped the attack of the convective blade in time at a critical moment, and entered a state of blurring to save the tragic ending of having his head cut off. Chapter 95. It was just a bitter for a Fei. His head was cut off by Ryubana with incomparable precision, which was regarded as a protection against the disaster. Rao is so. Bringing this oil is also shocked in a cold sweat. He clearly didn't see Liu Jian throwing any Thunder God suffering. How did the other party transfer it? Being able to move away from Yu Dun's attack in an instant, without being reacted by himself. Besides Fei Lei Shen, there is no other way to bring the earth to think of. Could it be the other party has left the Thunder God spell in advance, somewhere in advance? It looks like this should be the case. With the soil in his heart, his complexion became extremely dignified. If this is the case, then Ryubana is even more troublesome for him. Alfie, how are you? Soon, he brought soil and asked a Fei in a deep voice. Most people are sure to die if their heads are decapitated, but a Fei is not a human at all, but is made of white vines. Take this oil. Is not sure if a Fei died under that fatal blow. After all, Alfie's physiological structure is completely different from that of human beings. Alfie didn't respond at all. I don't know if it was dead, but with the soil, he could feel the fluctuations of chakra on Alfie's body. This may be the only comfort, but what was more shocking was that with Alfie's current state, Yu Dun was obviously unusable. Mr. Uchiha Madara, I didn't expect to meet again so soon. As everyone watched, Ryujin walked slowly to the opposite side of the dirt with ease. Oh, no, it should be Mr. Uchiha Madara's imposter, Ryujin added at this time. As long as there is no water in his mind, who doesn't know that Uchiha Madara is pretending to be in front of him? Regarding Liu Bian's banter, Tai Tu just snorted, and did not refute it. Now that he has lost the Mu-Dun ability, he is even more not an opponent of Liu Bian. Why are you here? Who are you and what is your purpose? With a pair of eyes fixedly staring at Liu Bian, Tai Tu asked in a deep voice. Last time his plan in Wu Ein was ruined by Liu Bian. This time he came to take away the dried persimmon ghost shark and was ruined by Liu Bian. Is this person here specifically to deal with him? But for Mao, he never remembered when he had offended someone of his clan, and he never remembered that there was such a person in the Uchiha clan. Following the questions brought by the soil, other people on the scene were also staring at Liu Bian, and he was extremely curious about Liu Bian. The strength of the guy posing as Uchiha Madara is so powerful that everyone can see. It's simply outrageous. But as soon as this person came out, he didn't know what method was used to make Uchiha Madara suffer a big loss. In looking at the appearance of Uchiha Madara, it is obvious that he is extremely afraid of this person. Who is this person sacred? As for Yahiko and Xiaonan, they were lost in thought. They always felt that this misty ninja seemed to give them a familiar feeling. I've already said my purpose. I'm here to dry the persimmon ghosts. Liu Ren shrugged, and glanced lightly at the dirt. So, get out of my face now, I won't embarrass you. His face immediately turned red with dirt. When has he suffered such humiliation? But even if he was about to tremble with anger, he didn't dare to make any rash actions. Whether it was Liu Bian's long-range power or Amaterasu, it was a fatal threat to the soil. He has been in a virtualized state all the time, and he doesn't dare to relax at all now. There is no other Afei as a body armor with soil dry persimmon ghost shark. Didn't know what to say now. Originally, he was absolutely loyal to Tuatu, and he didn't mean to betray him, but only now did he realize that this oil had been deceiving him all the time. Do you really think that I can't help you? Take this oil, angrily shouted at Liu Jian. Click. At the same time, the ground next to Liu Bian was broken in the blink of an eye, and wood sticks broke out again, strangling towards Liu Bian's attack. Is it black and white? The corner of Liu Bian's mouth couldn't help but a scornful smile appeared. A black and white Mu-Dun is far worse than Afei's Mu-Dun. In the original work, Afei used Yamato, and even a small number of thousands of hands can be made facing the black and white Ju Mu-Dun. Liu Ren was more than able to do so. Using the super perceptive power of the fairy mode, he immediately perceives the hiding place of the black and white Ju. Then he shook his hand, and suddenly shot a hand of Fei Lei Shen Qiwu to the direction of black and white Ju. The Liu Bian Ren disappeared in place and appeared in a seemingly inconspicuous position. Then, with a thought, a spiral pill appeared directly in his hand. He pressed it down hard to the ground. Boom! Click! The ground was directly hit by a big pit by Liu Bian's Ianshu Helix pill, and the cracks spread out in all directions like a spider web. Don't mention how terrifying the momentum is in the big pit. I saw a white, very strange plant-like person, already lying motionless in the big pit. Almost all of his upper body was directly smashed by the Flowblade spiral pill. That's a miserable one. But what is very strange is that when the person is like that, there is no blood flowing out, and there is no bones and organs and other things. I am surprised to see other people, and I don't know what this is. Only Liu Bian could see clearly. The moment the ground was broken open, a cloud of black liquid flowed into the ground and disappeared. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 96. Heiju on black and white Ju's body directly gave up the white Ju he was wearing, and slipped away quietly. No way, that white Ju was smashed by Liu Bian, and he was already dead to death. Why, how does he know where I am hiding? As he fled, Heiju thought in shock. Chapter 78 Ryublade vs Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. The face with dirt became more and more ugly. It was as ugly as a piece of black charcoal. Is this Uchiha person his own nemesis? How long did he show up? Afei was scrapped, and black and white had also been scrapped, and now there was only a polished commander with soil left. The current belt soil only has a single eye to right round eyes, and Suzuo can't open it. The only trick he can use is one magical power. How can he fight the opponent? Isn't the opponent's opponent at all? Okay, now his only confidence is that he is always in a state of illusion, and it is impossible for the other party to hurt himself, but it is impossible to bring this oil to hurt Liu Jian. Although he didn't want to admit it, Tai Tu also had to admit that in the face of Liu Bian, he couldn't do anything except watch the wind and escape. Who are you, and what kind of grudges do you have with me? Why do you repeatedly do bad things to me? Dai Tu asked with a very depressed voice, looking at Liu Ren. Did you make a mistake? If I remember correctly, It was obviously you who got to my head last time. As for this time, I have already said that my goal is to dry persimmon. It has nothing to do with you, Liu Ren said to Dai Tu with a serious face. We will meet again. After bringing the oil into silence for a while, a spatial vortex appeared in his pupils, drawing him into it. The whole person with this oil just disappeared. Everyone at the scene, they couldn't help looking at Ryubana one by one, and wondered in their hearts, who was so sacred that this person actually scared away the Uchiha Madara abruptly. Think about how powerful Uchiha Madara is. Once he appeared on the stage, he directly suppressed many powerful players such as Kodachi Tachibana, Terumi Mei, and shocked everyone. But with such existence, it turned out to be so afraid of this mysterious man. Click, boom, in the violent burst of energy, the wood sticks that had bound the Tachibana Yakura to Tuan suddenly exploded. It exploded into countless pieces of wood scattered all over. After the head of a Fei, who was controlling Mudun, was cut off by Liu Jian, these wooden branches had completely lost control and turned into ordinary wooden branches without souls. Naturally, I can't hold the Kochi Tachibana Yakura. Kodachi Tachibana Yakura broke free without much effort, and then freed Terumi Ming and Yahiko, who was also caught. Ryuren didn't pay attention to what they were doing, but walked towards the dried persimmon ghost shark step by step. After all, the dried persimmon ghost shark is different from ordinary people. After this period of adjustment, some combat effectiveness has been restored. He pointed at Liu Jian with a shark muscle in his hand, and said, I don't care who you are. In short, don't hit my idea, or I will kill you. First, you can't do this at all. Liu Ren ignored the shark muscles in front of him, and stared at the dead fish eyes of the ghost shark calmly. Secondly, don't you want to know the truth of this world? This whole world is false. There is no so-called truth at all. I am completely disappointed in this false world, so don't try to get anything from me. The dried persimmon ghost shark is really broken by the soil, and has no hope of reality. He is a person who cherishes his companions, but he had to kill many of his companions himself because he was loyal to his boss. But in the end, the dried persimmon ghost shark found that even his boss had collaborated with the enemy and treasoned the country, and his beliefs collapsed directly. Thinking that everything in the world was false at this critical moment, the soil appeared in time, showing the dried persimmon ghost shark the only truth in the world, the Moon Eye Project, and successfully subdued the ghost shark. But now Gaiwa has discovered that even this only truth is a scam. What else is true in this world? Follow me. I will help you lift the veil and let you realize the true face of this world of ninja. If anyone in this world really knows this, then I am the most likely person, right? The muscles in the hands of the dried persimmon ghost shark are not so tightly gripped because Liu Ren said so. He wasn't sure whether this person knew the true face of this ninja world, but this person was indeed the most likely one. Besides, since you are already disappointed in this false world, why don't you follow me? What do you care about? The big deal, it's just to be deceived again. The dried persimmon ghost shark was silent for a moment, and then put away the shark muscle in his hand. Well, even if I was deceived, I would rather be deceived by someone like you. Very well, then come with me. Liu Ren nodded in relief. I will tell you what the true face of this ninja world is like. None of you can leave. A cold voice sounded, but Kodachi Tachibana Yakura and Terumi Mei, who were approaching Ryubana as if they were facing a major enemy. Dry persimmon ghost shark is Wu Yin's rebellious forbearance. This mysterious man wants to take it away grandly. What does Wu Yin think of? Is your own back garden? It's true that the uncle can bear neither the aunt nor the uncle. The technique of mist hiding, immediately following the fast formation of the citrus fruit and Yakura, the extremely dense fog condensed in the blink of an eye, covering all the tens of kilometers in front of the water shadow building. Liu Ren looked around, but saw the whiteness in front of him, and basically couldn't see anything. Even Liu Bian had a riding wheel eye, but he couldn't see it. Together with this white mist, he almost became a blind man. Chapter 97. Moreover, with the help of the special terrain of Wu Yin village surrounded by water and super high humidity, it is basically impossible for Liu Bian to use ninjutsu to disperse all the dense fog. But fortunately, Liu Bian is not beyond help. As long as he enters the fairy mode, the super perceptual power of the fairy mode is equivalent to turning on thermal imaging. For a master of his level, it is no different from seeing through dense fog. I really want to take the dried persimmon ghost shark away, but not now. Kodachi Yakura, this time I am here for the dried persimmon ghost shark, but also for you. However, Liu Ren turned his head, glanced in the direction of Kodachi Tachibana Yakura, and smiled lightly. The smile actually seemed quite kind, but it made the chrysanthemum in the heart of Kodachi Tachibana Yakura instantly tighten. Could this person be unaffected by the thick fog? Kachi Tachibana Yakira's complexion suddenly chilled, and silently sneaked into Ryublade in the thick fog. Then he swung up his unique weapon, the hook-shaped weapon with the flower, and swept it at Ryubian. Fiercely snapped, but Ryubian reached out his hand incomparably calmly, and easily grabbed the hook weapon of Citrus Tachibana Yakira. What? Kachi Tachibana Yakira was shocked. Seeing the other party's easygoing look, the fog hiding technique was really useless for him. How come? Chapter 79. The astonishment of Kachi Tachibana Yakira lies not only in the failure of the mist hiding technique, but also in the powerful strength of Ryubian. Ryujian was just a simple one-handed grip, but Kachi Tachibana Yakira felt that his hook was clamped by a pair of large iron pliers, and he didn't move at all. He wanted to withdraw, but he couldn't withdraw it at all. Kachi Tachibana Yakira was slightly startled, no longer talking nonsense. A very thick coral tail appeared directly behind his body, sweeping towards Ryubian fiercely. Spiral pill, with a thought to Ryubian. A fairy magic spiral pill appeared in the palm of his left hand. Without even thinking about it, he pressed it directly at the coral tail. Click. The coral tail was directly smashed to pieces by Ryujian, and Yoko Tachibana Yakira himself was shocked by the huge impact force. Rolled on the ground several times. In just one phase, Kachi Tachibana Yakira was blown away by Ryublade. Whoosh. Ryubian didn't have any nonsense. The instantaneous technique unfolded, and once again rushed towards the Citrus Tachibana Yakira. The art of water mirror. The dense fog in front of Citrus's eyes suddenly appeared in a vacuum zone, and a mirror appeared in Ryubian's line of sight the next moment. Another Ryubian rushed towards Ryubian from the water mirror. Ryubana, who has seen Naruto, knows that the mirror image created by Kachi Tachibana Yakira through the art of water mirror can perform ninjutsu exactly like the original owner, and even the strength is not bad. I have to say that this trick is still very abnormal, but for Ryubian, it is also very easy to crack. He didn't believe it. The water mirror technique could replicate ninjutsu, but could it also replicate the blood succession limit? Shenwubi. Click. The mirror image flow blade that had just appeared had its head cut off and turned into a headless corpse that fell to the ground. Clang. Immediately after Ryujian worked it out, the water mirror facing the citrus orange Yakira also gave a magical power, and the water mirror was also instantly shattered into slag. In a nutshell, the water mirror technique of Kachi Tachibana Yakira was completely broken by Liu Ren as soon as it was used. What is this method? Is it his pupil technique? Kachi Tachibana Yakira's pupils shrank suddenly, and Convection Blade was extremely afraid. He had seen Ryu before using this trick to severely inflict Uchiha Madara, which not only made the opponent show his true colors, but also made the opponent lose the power of Mudun. Now I have personally experienced this trick even more. It is precisely because of this that Kachi Tachibana Yakira did not dare to be careless. When the water mirror was destroyed, he immediately controlled the dense fog to fill the previous vacuum zone. Mix himself and Ryubian's field of vision filled with white mist again because he was controlled by this oil before. Kachi Tachibana Yakira also has some experience in coping with the Shilunine. This fog hiding technique can be said to be the ninjutsu that naturally restrains Shilunine, although the thick fog in front of this person doesn't seem to cause any trouble to him, but at any rate, it can also prevent the other person from imposing illusions on himself, isn't it, Tadada? In the thick fog, Ryubian once again rushed towards the Kachi Yakira. Kachi Tachibana Yakira was not affected by the thick fog, and he perceives this scene clearly. He has realized that Ryuzen is not an ordinary ninja, and ordinary methods cannot contend against this person at all. So he immediately moved his mind and entered a half-tailed beastification state. At this moment, his entire body is filled with crimson three-tailed chakras, and there are three tails wagging at the back of his body, but they are still generally in a human form. In this state, the strength of the Kachi Tachibana Yakira increases sharply, and it can also launch the Tail Beast Jade, and the Tail Beast coat can also help him withstand most attacks, which is still very powerful. When Ryuzen rushed to the front of Kachi Tachibana Yakira, Kachi Tachibana Yakira directly hit Ryubian with a fierce punch. The strength is so great that the current Ryubian feels a kind of suffocation. It is far greater than the power he can exert now. Naturally, Ryubian would not be so stupid to fight with Kachi Tachibana Yakira. Not to mention that he also knew that if he was punched by the opponent, he was afraid that coral would grow on his body immediately. Chapter 98. Ryubian directly turned into virtual reality, and the body automatically entered a state of virtual reality. Kachi Tachibana Yakira's fist hit Ryubian's body in an instant, but before he had time to be happy, he was shocked to find that his fist had penetrated through the opponent's body abruptly. Kachi Tachibana Yakira was immediately stunned, and was caught off guard. Ryujian actually passed through him and came behind him. Kodachi Tachibana Yakira was taken aback, and his back was where the empty door was. No matter what kind of attack the other party made to him at this time, he couldn't cope with it, but fortunately, he has the protection of the Tail Beast Code at this moment, so he doesn't need to worry too much. But Ryubana did not attack Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. Liu Ren also knew that under the protection of the opponent's Tail Beast Code, regular attacks would not cause any harm to Kodachi Tachibana Yakira at all. It was just a waste of effort, and Amaterasu's pupil technique that can restrain the opponent is also useless because of the thick fog. After all, with the help of the special landforms of the country of water, and the deliberate actions of Kodachi Yakira, this thick fog is really heinous. And you can't see each other face to face. Of course, it's not that you can't see it at all, but it's blurry like a mosaic, which greatly affects the use of Amaterasu. He can't accurately judge the distance between himself and the opponent, but precisely because of this, it also gave the chance to flow. Hungry Ghost. The pupils in Liu Bian's eyes turned, from the original scarlet writing round eyes to the reincarnation eyes, and then his hands were directly attached to the back of Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. Yes, Liu Bian used the power of the reincarnation eye under this level of thick fog. It doesn't matter if the fog lurks some Waiju, it is impossible for the other party to see it. Don't talk about Baiju. Even if it is the misty ninja Darumi Mei, Liu Jian believes that the other party must not be able to see the changes in his pupils. After all, the other party can move in the dense fog, and it must also use a special induction method, and the line of sight cannot be unaffected in any way. On the other hand, even if he took 10,000 steps back, the opponent's line of sight was really not affected. It didn't matter. Ryun also deliberately used Kodachi Tachibana Yakira's body to block Darumi Ming. He used the fairy mode to lock Darumi Ming's position all the time. 3 points in one line. It's that simple. Suck. Under the power of the Hungry Ghost Dao, the Tail Beast chakra on the Goku Tachibana Yakira was integrated into Liu Bian's body like a whale swallowing a cow drink. The code of the Tail Beast on his body faded at a speed visible to the naked eye, and there was not much effort left. In the blink of an eye, it was as if Dirt Nagato had sucked up Karabi's Tail Beast coat, relaxed and happy. Damn it, how could this happen? Chakra was soaked up by him. What kind of trick is this? Kodachi Tachibana Yakira was shocked to the extreme. Chapter 80. I'm not killing you, I just smoked your Tail Beast. Boom. Ryubana was too lazy to explain to Kodachi Tachibana Yakira. He grabbed Kodachi Tachibana Yakira's hands and violently slammed it to the ground. Master Shuang, Darumi Ming saw that Kodachi Tachibana Yakira was defeated by Ryu so quickly, he let out an exclamation, and he rushed towards Ryu, solving escape. The art of melting monsters. Darumi Mei also directly opened his mouth and sprayed a large corrosive viscous liquid toward Ryu blade. However, it directly penetrated through Liu Bian's body, and all of a sudden the slap was stuck on the ground behind Liu Bian. In the hiss, the ground suddenly sank downward. Blur? Isn't this the fake Uchiha Madara's method? How can this person do it? Darumi Mei was really frightened and angry. She never expected that besides the fake Uchiha Madara, there was a second person in the ninja world who had used this weird method. There is simply no solution, unless, as Master Shuang said, attack this person continuously. Uchiha's people are really troublesome. Kodachi Tachibana Yakira got up from the ground, his face was full of fear and shock. Snapped. Darumi Ming patted both hands at this time, and quickly completed the seal. Shui done. Water shock. Laugh. A water line burst directly towards Liu Bian. Kodachi Tachibana Yakira also took advantage of the moment Darumi Ming launched an attack on Ryu blade, and quickly flashed to the side using the instantaneous technique. And also hide a water line against Ryu. Bang. Two fierce water lines shot towards Liu Bian from two directions. Kodachi Tachibana Yakira and Darumi Ming's ideas are both very beautiful. With the help of the extremely rich water vapor in the country of water, they can continue to attack for more than 10 minutes without a problem enough to break the blur of Liu Bian. But they overlooked one point. Liu Bian is not bringing dirt. Blurring is only one of his methods for Liu Bian, and he is far from relying on this trick like taking soil. Even if you bring soil, you will use a phase mu done to fight the enemy. When you realize that the power of God cannot deal with the enemy. When the two water lines were about to hit Liu Bian's hands began to quickly seal, and Xianshu chakra kept circulating all over his body. Tudin, Tulubi, Rumble, an extremely heavy and strong earth wall was erected directly from the ground. No. It should be a city wall to be more precise, because the scale of the earth wall is much exaggerated than the ordinary earth flow wall. That is simply not an earth flow wall that ordinary people can use. It's really an exaggeration. While watching the lively dried persimmon ghost shark, a flash of surprise flashed in the eyes of the dead fish, and he chuckled and commented. Chapter 99. Kadachi Tachibana Yakira, you can't think that even a character of this level will kill you. Cough cough. Tao Di, who had been seriously injured on the ground, didn't cut it again, and a touch of pride and coldness appeared on his face. Even if he fails to assassinate Shuang today, Shuang will undoubtedly die. The mysterious appearance of the strong man is really terrifying. Ravaging Kadachi Tachibana Yakira is like ravaging a child. If you don't cut your lord again, are you alright? Bai ran over with a look of concern and helped Teodi not to cut it again. I'm okay, cough cough. Mamaji no longer stood up with Bai's support. Staring at the Raya blade of a man who fights alone, Kadachi Tachibana Yakira and Terumi Mei. The same goes for the Ghost Lantern Full Moon as for Yahiko and Xiaonan. They are not misty ninjas. They have really become blind in the vast white mist. I can only hear the battle seem to be very fierce, but I don't know what happened on the specific battlefield. Chi-Chi, under the gazes of Mamachi Nazhang and Giden Manayu, and the gaze of the dried persimmon ghost sharks, they saw the water line of Kadachi Tachibana Yakira and Terumi Mei, completely blocked by the flow blade of the earth flow wall. It's sturdy. That is the earth flow wall in the fairy mode. Naturally, it is not comparable to the ordinary earth flow wall. Defending the water line of Terumi Ming and Kadachi Tachibana Yakira is completely relaxing and enjoyable. Not only that, at the moment when Tu Liubi blocked his opponent's sight, Liu Ren also used the technique of Flying Thunder God to quietly transfer himself out, and using the Divine Powers special transfer, he appeared directly behind Terumi Ming. Chidori, Terumi Ming, who is attacking Ryubana with all his strength, suddenly heard a voice behind her, and she suddenly cried out in her heart, this person's weird teleportation method is simply terrifying. Snap! But at this moment, above Terumi Ming's head, there was a lot of thunder and lightning, which directly smashed Terumi Ming's body. Terumi Mei let out a muffled hum, and she fell directly to the ground. The whole person was in a state of numbness of hands and feet, completely losing combat effectiveness. If it wasn't for Liu Ren not wanting to kill, and deliberately showing mercy to Mei Ming's men, Terumi Ming would have died thoroughly. Terumi Ming? Kadachi Tachibana Yakira couldn't help but exclaimed, if Terumi Ming died, the village's loss would have been too great. When are you still distracted? But Kadachi Tachibana Yakira had just finished saying that, and a voice rang out coldly behind him. Surprisingly, it is Liu Jian's shadow clone. What? The orange Yakira chrysanthemum couldn't help but tighten. He could see clearly, the enemy was standing beside Terumi Mei. Why is there another one behind him? In just a moment of effort, Kadachi Tachibana Yakira reacted. While dealing with Terumi Ming, the enemy also separated a clone to deal with himself. Snap! But at this moment, it was too late to say anything. Kadachi Tachibana Yakira didn't have time to make any response, and was knocked to the ground by several lightning strikes. He couldn't move at all, and became meat on a cutting board that was slaughtered. After easily finishing the two of Kadachi Tachibana Yakira and Terumi Mei, Ryzen started to relax and walked in front of Kadachi Tachibana Yakira step by step. Citrus Tachibana Yakira stared at Liu Bian. With deep fear and unwillingness in his eyes, he didn't know what Liu Bian was going to do to him, but no matter what Liu Bian did to him, he didn't have any resistance. Are you going to kill him? Dry Persimmon Ghost Shark asked with interest on the side. Honest people really regarded this battle as a lively scene. No, I didn't plan to do this. Ryan's words made Kadachi Tachibana Yakira breathe a sigh of relief, but then Liu Bian's talk took a turn, and the chrysanthemum that had just loosened Kadachi Tachibana Yakira suddenly tightened again. I just want to pull out the three tails from Kadachi Tachibana Yakira's body. Dry Persimmon Ghost Shark. Pete, aren't you trying to kill Kadachi Tachibana Yakira? Once the tail beast was pulled out, wouldn't Rinzuli be dead? Chapter 81. Hearing Ryo's words, Terumi Mei was really anxious to the extreme, but now she has completely lost her combat effectiveness, but she can't help at all. Not only that, because this conspiracy involves the participation of the Ghost Lamp Full Moon, a misty high-level man, and the other party blocked the area around the Shuang building in advance so the other ninjas in the village would never come to the rescue at all. She could only watch Shuang helplessly, and died in the hands of this person, and the Ghost Lantern Man Moon who wanted to assassinate Citrus Orange Yakira. His expression changed slightly, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. He did want to kill Kadachi Tachibana Yakira, but Shenwubi couldn't fall into the hands of outsiders. The Ghost Lantern Full Moon assassinated Shui Ying for the village. This sentence is not just talking, but true. This person must be stopped. A sharp light flashed in the eyes of Ghost Lantern Man Yu. However, the strength of this mysterious man is really too strong, and the thick fog summoned by Citrus Orange Yakira does not seem to have any effect on him. Ghost Lantern Full Moon is also afraid to take it lightly. After he pondered for a while, he made a decision. Using the technique of hydration, and the whole person quietly turned into a pool of water. Chapter 100. Just like that, in the state of water, quietly shifting to Ryubana on the ground, at this moment, everyone's attention was placed on Ryubana's body, on the body of Kodachi Tachibana Yakura, and no one noticed the ghost lantern full moon. The ghost lamp full moon turned into a pool of liquid, flowing slowly among the grass and stones. Who could detect it? Especially there's the dense fog as a cover. It's just that ghost lantern full moon would not have thought that under the super perception of the flowing blade fairy mode, all the chakra fluctuations around him could not be concealed from the other party. The full moon of the ghost lantern was sensed by Ryubana as soon as it hydrated. The whole process of the group of liquid chakras moving toward Ryubana was also clearly under Ryubana's monitoring. However, Liu Ren didn't make any sense at all, as if he hadn't seen it. The ghost lantern is just full of the moon, and it can't even threaten him at all. Ryubana continued to do his own business. He tore open Tachibana Yakura's clothes, and the seal technique on the abdomen of Tachibana Yakura appeared in front of Ryun. Ujian has signed in Konoha for so long, and Konoha has not known how many seals he has mastered. It can be said unceremoniously that Ryubana's current sealing technique is the only one in the world. This sentence is not an exaggeration at all, as everyone knows. The strongest sealing technique in the entire ninja world is the Maelstrom family, and the Maelstrom family once lived in the country of Maelstrom. Later, the Uzumaki kingdom was destroyed, and most of the seals were sealed in Konoha. After all, the Uzumaki clan is a distant relative of the Thousand Hand clan, and the relationship between Uzumaki kingdom and Konoha is naturally extraordinary. Even during the war, there were many Vodex clan people who quietly lived in Konoha. It's just being incognito among them. Uzumaki Kushina was married to Konoha's genius ninja with yellow glow. It didn't need to be said. As for the seal techniques that were sealed in Konoha that originally belonged to the country of Uzumaki, they had long since been signed by Ryubana. Looking at the entire ninja realm, who else has a seal technique that can compare with Liu Ren? He almost glanced at it, and then he could see through the seal technique on Kodachi Tachibana Yakura's body. This seal technique is completely a variant of the seal technique of the Vortex country. After so many years, is the ninja world still leading the roots of the Vortex country? I don't know about innovation. Ryubana doesn't need to shake his head and chuckle. During the Warring States period, Senjujuma and Uchiha Madara captured the 9 big-tailed beasts and gave them to the major ninja villages. At that time, the seals of the big-tailed beasts were actually imposed by the people of Uzumaki, but after so many years, these sealing techniques have been passed down from generation to generation. Since this was the case, Ryubana was even less difficult to crack. He just studied it for a while, and he had already analyzed the cracking method. Don't look at me with that look. You can't die. Don't worry. Ryubana smiled slightly at Citrus Tachibana Yakura, and stopped talking nonsense, and began to remove the seal on Citrus Tachibana Yakura. Kodachi Tachibana Yakura began to struggle desperately, but now that he had lost his combat effectiveness, he couldn't make any waves in the hands of Ryubana. Snapped. Ryubana stretched out his hand and patted the abdomen of Kodachi Tachibana Yakura, and began his performance. But suddenly, Ryubana's movement stopped for a while because behind him, a mass of liquid condensed silently from the ground, slowly turning into a human form. It's a ghost lamp full moon. Terumi was surprised and delighted, as if he had seen the last hope. In fact, for now, the full moon of the ghost lamp has indeed become the only life-saving straw in the fog. The ghost lantern moon quietly lurked to Liu Ren's side, and she didn't even notice the misty ninja, let alone an outsider. The dried persimmon ghost shark naturally saw the full moon of the ghost lamp, but he did not remind Liu Blade, but the light flashed in the eyes of the dead fish, full of interest. I don't know if you can survive the full moon of the ghost lamp. Gan Persimmon Gyayu thought happily. A struggling color appeared on Taoti's face without cutting. He was not a fool, and naturally he understood the intention of ghost lantern full moon all at once. But Taoti didn't say anything to remind Liu Ren if he didn't cut it again. The motivation for this second assassination of Shuang Taoti without cutting it was a bit more complicated, but in the final analysis, Taoti wouldn't be cutting it. But I hope Wuan will get better. The tail beast was taken, and it was not what he wanted to see. Successful. Under everyone's gaze, the ghost lantern full moon had already condensed into human form behind Liu Ren, and a smile of joy flashed across his face. Then, he stretched out his hands, made a modern pistol pose, and pointed his finger at Ryubana's head. That is the unique attack secret technique of their ghost lantern clan, the art of water iron cannon. At this moment, whether according to miming, the persimmon, the ghost, or the peach, the heart was lifted up involuntarily, and the moment of life and death was about to come. Snap. But at this moment, a few thunder and lightning suddenly struck out around the full moon of the ghost lamp, And all of a sudden, the full moon of the ghost lamp was turned over to the ground. The full moon of the ghost lantern suddenly fell limp on the ground, unable to move, and turned into a jelly-like object. The ghost lanterns are especially afraid of Lei Dun, hateful. Terumi Ming patted her thigh angrily at this time. Where did she still not understand? The other party had already noticed the whereabouts of the ghost lamp full moon from the beginning. Just how does this person do it? Even if it was her, she didn't even notice it before the ghost lamp full moon appeared on its own initiative. Failed. This really surprises me, and it doesn't surprise me. Gan Shichi Uiyao was stunned and muttered to himself. Chapter 82. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.